Happy Sunday. I actually pressed the button the first time and then the countdown went all the way down and I didn't realize that I hadn't hit the go live. So anyway, now we're live. So hopefully your week's been going all right. If some of you were around on Friday, we're doing the second live stream this weekend. First one went traditional epic length style, so that was good. And this one's going to be a little bit shorter. I did allude to it in the last live stream that we were going to make it a little bit shorter because got an early Monday start. But anyway, we'll definitely hang out for a while and do the usual thing. So we'll see how that rolls out. All right, so I can see the comments here. Good evening, Bob. Thanks to Bob as well for hanging out on Friday. It was a good live stream. And a very impressive performance by Bob Lewis. It was like, if you had taken the over-under, how long it took him to disappear, and we got the contributions from Chair, it was actually very impressive. Very impressive. Good evening, Yannick. So anyway, a couple of quick housekeeping things, and then we'll get this thing underway. Good evening, Justin. So first order of business, like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter stream. That doesn't mean short, because these things rarely are. But it means we're going to kind of get to the point a little bit. I'll get to putting the link on the stream a little bit faster if anybody wants to go and if anybody wants to pop in. So we'll do that a little bit quicker just to get that started. And then in the same vein, it'll be the usual thing, kind of whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm cool with. I'm game with. I was looking to see if there was some stuff. I did grab a couple of golden auction things, just some stuff I was monitoring. Nothing too crazy. But I didn't see anything that really stood out to me that much. I'll grab a couple of comments here. Sebastian Kid, good evening. Yeah, Bobby. Bobby was impressed. That's fair. Well, at least, listen, good effort by you, Bob. Good effort by you. Thanks, Jeff. So this is the same room. All I did was move the desk 90 degrees. So instead of, the Dallas Stars banner that you usually see on my live streams, it's actually right here. So it's the exact same. It's like I said, it's the exact same situation, but I moved it 90 degrees. It's kind of what I was hoping to do. And this background has got a little bit more going on with it. It's a little bit more interesting than kind of just looking at the one banner. But anyway, so like I said, we'll get into chatting about the usual thing, kind of whatever you guys want to do. And if you got any topics or things you want to talk about, feel free to throw them in. The sooner you do that, the easier it'll be to incorporate, and we can definitely do that. So I'll grab the link for folks to join in a second. Last housekeeping thing I'm going to mention. I don't know if any of you have ever, if any of you do ever listen to the audio podcast. I did upload a new one just yesterday, and there's going to be another one coming up on Tuesday. It's basically just an archive of these live streams. Since they're so long, I know some folks don't want to go back into YouTube and go get it. So you can just download it and listen to it at your leisure. I've got all the ones from 2020 done. I've got the first one of 2021 done, and the second one is going to be coming up in the new week, and I'm going to do 2 or 3 a week until we get caught up. So that's just another way if you want to take it with you on the road, so to speak, if you head out or whatever, and need a podcast to kill a time, because Lord knows these live streams will kill a lot of time. We can definitely do that. So good. Now I'm glad, Bobby. Thank you, Boston Kid. I'm glad we're able to. So that was kind of my goal. I felt bad that I was slacking a little bit on putting those audio podcasts out, because I know there's a couple of folks that do listen to them. I can see the little stats on it, so some folks do use it. And definitely you can use it to kill time if you want to work out. If you want to do a really long workout, we got 6-hour live streams for you. So we definitely got that. So let's just see here. Yeah, the Brian Gray from 2 weeks ago. Okay. Brian Gray isn't me. That's going to be Jeremy, but fair enough. So sounds good. Okay, so with all that out of the way, I think we've got all that covered. So let me grab the link here, and we'll get started right away. Like I said, we're not going to waste any time on this one. I'll put it up here on the screen. No pressure to anybody. You're more than welcome to join in if you want. If you've never been here before, again, you're welcome. If you've been here before, again, you're welcome. And we'll just hang out and chat and figure out what we're going to do here tonight. Okay, let me throw the comment on here, the link here, and then I'll pin it to the comments like usual. So as far as that's concerned, anybody had anything come up on the weekend or anything that you guys want to talk about just to get things underway? Like I said, I do have a couple of golden auction links that I can point to and look at, but there's nothing too crazy. I think the big one was that there was an Acuna sale, like a $400,000 Acuna sale, which for Acuna is pretty good. It's one of those things where we've gotten so acclimated to these big numbers that it doesn't really do anything interesting anymore. So good evening, Paul. Yeah. So this is actually same studio, 90 degree. You're getting a 90-degree turn. So the banner is sitting right here beside me instead of behind me. So same banner. So at least, but I thought this was a little more interesting background than just having the banner behind me. So anyway, so we've got let's take a look here. So Boston Kid Stairs, PSA 3 Mantle. I did see a PSA 3 Mantle sale. I think that's Heritage, and I actually do have that one. So that is kind of cool. Making those last minute baseball purchases before the season starts. Nice, nice. So I actually do. I think it's this one. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong here, Boston Kid. I think this is the one you're referring to. I've got a link from Sports Collectors Daily, and if I'm right, I think this is the one you're talking about. And it was a PSA 3 record, a record sale, which is kind of a big deal because this one was a PSA 3, and it's a nice looking 3, by the way. Well centered, looks pretty clean for a 3, definitely. PSA 3 Mantle sale to 52. Yep. So I'm assuming it's this one. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. I think so. And 162,000. So it smashed the old price of the previous one, which is $90,000 high. Really impressive, but it's a good, clean looking copy. So there's some heritage auctions. So you'll have to let me know if that's the one you're thinking of. That one, I definitely caught wind of that one. So it's pretty good. It's pretty impressive. I'm just going to stop sharing that. All righty. All right, Bobby. Nod if you're ready to go. And then we'll do the usual traditional. I'll bring you on and then bring you off. All right. Sounds good. Let's give it a go. All right, Bobby, let's give it a go. What do you got?
I'm completely confident it works.
Oh, you're completely confident. Look at you. First try.
Well, you heard it. So yeah, obviously.
My goodness. Oh,
my. I closed the other window down first and then I did the hookup. So
okay. So it sounds like that's the secret sauce to getting you where you need to be.
So it seems.
All right. Sounds fair. So I'll grab the comments here. So Justin says, notice some low PSA Messiers going up. I have no doubt. There's a lot of cons. Boston Kid says yes on the 52 Mantle. So yep. So that was the same one. So that was a heritage auction one. Very nice.
Get this on here.
Nice. Very
That's
cool.
A little better.
All right. Cool. So correct on the Mantle sale. Awesome. Sounds good. So PMN here chimes in. Any early indications on how the grading card price increases is impacting the market for already graded cards? Not yet. But the prevailing theory is that there will be maybe a slight premium for certain cards. It won't be across the board because there's some stuff that you're still going to send in, right? Like if you have a 52,000 Mantle, this is not going to dissuade you. You know, a graded card increase is like it's still a very expensive card. You're still going to send it in. It's still worth it. But for cards where like you're maybe like your Luka base cards, where maybe it's worth it, maybe it isn't, or even some of those base cards where you're like they're $5 and $10 cards, you're trying to make $100, $200 cards. If it's already graded and you want that card, then there might be a slight premium. That's the prevailing theory. If it's already graded and you really want the graded one, less people are going to be inclined to send one in. So it totally makes sense that it might have a slight premium for somebody who really wants one, which makes sense. It's reasonable, but I haven't seen too much of it yet. We'll have to see on some of the more common. I think it's going to be a bigger impact on the more common cards than as opposed to the rarer ones that are still probably going to get sent in. Does that make sense? Sounds good. Okay, so I'm just taking a look here. I did take a look. There were a couple of golden ones that made me chuckle. They did have a Hulk Hogan. They did have a Hulk Hogan rookie card.
Hogan.
That's right. That's right. I did laugh though. It's the Hogan card has always been fun to me because Hogan looks so pleased on the card. It's absolutely fantastic.
Have you ever met him?
I you know what? I had an opportunity. They did. It wasn't an anime, but they actually tried to do a card show with Fan Expo.
I was there. I get it. That was a long time, not a couple. That's quite a few years ago.
It feels like a couple to me, but regardless.
Yeah, I remember. I was there.
Yeah, they had that one where they tried to do the sports card thing that one time. And Hogan and Bischoff were doing an autograph signing.
Yeah.
So I was kind of off on the side, and I just was randomly walking by, and then I just see Hogan. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bobby Orr was there too, but he was behind the closed doors.
I have no doubt. And they
had he walked by, and I said, "Hey, what's up, Hogan?" He goes, "How you doing, brother?"
That's right.
There's my fame. That's it. That's all I got for Hogan.
He looked a little more pleased during that one than he does in this picture.
He was walking slow though. Oh, you should see him walking.
Yeah. Well, his finisher was a leg drop, which for a guy who's that big, it's like, what is that going to do to your spine? it's misery. Not a good. And in his heyday when he was roided up a fair bit, he was walking 300 pounds easily. And then his finisher is like, I'm gonna jump and land on my tailbone. That's going to be my finish for years. And I win like every match. So I'm consistently having to do this move every single night. Seems like a bad idea to me.
The mat was padded. Come on.
not padded enough for that.
That's for sure.
Not padded enough for that. But anyway, so this 8.5 did sell, and it's ended up selling for just under $8,000 with the buyer's premium.
Wow.
So pretty big time. I would say pretty big time there for sure.
That's big money for an 8.5. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, those are getting that market. That's one of those markets like wrestling cards and stuff like that have really seen like big boosts as people started shifting from other stuff. Like it's like, okay, so this has gone up. What else is there? Well, those wrestling cards were cheaper for a long time,
Yep.
relatively speaking. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just
I,
getting caught up on
s-
the graded card theory. Yeah.
I caught up on, and I did finally watch the Sasha video.
Oh,
It was
cool.
actually really exciting to watch because you almost felt like, come on, get the deal done. Let's do it. Come on.
Mhm.
And wow, he was juggling that thing around a lot.
Yeah. Well,
Man.
the thing is, that was the editor's cut of a 2 hour deal. So I can
Yeah.
imagine like somebody sitting there for 2 hours, basically recording the back and forth, back and forth. I can just imagine like it's not an insignificant deal. So like I said, like, and he's a young guy still. Like he's been doing a lot of deals, but it's like he's still like in his early 20s, and he's doing a $400,000, $500,000 deal. Like it's a lot.
They're
So
whispering right in front of the guy.
it was. So you saw what I was trying to say there, like
Oh, it
literally
was
right in
so
front.
funny. I'm saying, oh, hey, buddy. It's
Yeah,
like,
I wasn't exaggerating. It was like that is not going to work.
guy's not sitting there like this.
Doing this is not preventing anybody from hearing you.
He's got his mask down. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So let me quickly grab these comments here. Regret not owning that card. Yeah, now it would be very. If you don't already have it, now you'd have to pay a pretty penny at this stage. Yeah, advances in medicine and science probably less hard to buy, but steel chair is a steel chair. Yeah, I would say Hogan didn't have to take too many steel chairs to the head. I think he had a little bit of creative control, especially in the latter portions. Like, I'm not taking steel chairs to the head, brother.
Yeah.
But like I said, that leg drop though was a really bad finisher for him. He was such a big guy that, especially like a bodybuilder guy, like there's a lot of things you could have done that would have looked devastating
Yeah.
being delivered from him. The leg drop, yes, it's devastating, but also like it's just a terrible idea.
And a guy's so tall and so big, it's
Mhm.
wear and tear. It's
For sure.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Ex Stampede wrestler is a horse race trainer. Yeah. Yeah. Too many steel chairs to the head. Fair enough. Fair enough. Loved Andre the Giant. And I think Andre was in that Wrestling All Star set as well. Although I think there was an earlier Andre the Giant card that is considered his quote unquote rookie. But that definitely is a popular card because Ric Flair was in that set too. Ted DiBiase was in that set. But again, these guys are all pre gimmick. Like that Hulk Hogan is not the same Hulk Hogan that by the mid 80s.
Wasn't the $1 Million Man then?
No, Ted DiBiase was Ted DiBiase. Great wrestler for his day, great wrestler,
I'd say.
but he didn't have the character yet. Once he became the $1 Million Man, that was a completely different thing. But he was a great wrestler in his. And ironically, when he became the $1 Million Man, he actually didn't have to wrestle as much, really. Like he was still a great wrestler. He knew what to do.
Mhm.
But it's like you're the $1 Million Man. You cheat anyway. Does it really matter? Just cheat.
And then he had his sidekick there. What was his name?
Virgil.
Virgil.
Yeah.
He was a wrestler too, was he not?
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
A decent wrestler, actually, all things considered, for his day. But like Virgil's a sad story these days. Like if you see Virgil at like a card show, he'll like try to rope you in to sell you like an autographed picture or something.
I
Like,
did see
it's
him.
very sad.
He was at the Toronto Expo.
He was
a
there
few
all the
years back.
time.
Yeah.
But then he would play like he would put like meet $1 Million Man's assistant Virgil. Like $1 Million Man would be in big letters, but it's like it's actually Virgil.
Yeah.
It's like it's not the same thing. $1 Million Man, I might be interested. Virgil, not so much. Nothing personal.
Virgil carried the briefcase, and I don't even think he said much, really.
Not a lot. He did eventually have the feud because the $1 Million Man treated him like a slave. That was part of the shtick. But eventually, he obviously got so frustrated that he turned on him, and then they had a feud over the $1 Million belt, which made all sense. Like this is classic storytelling 101. Eventually, the servant gets fed up. He goes, you know what? I'm standing up to this guy. I'm not going to let him treat me like this anymore. Blah blah. It's a simple story to tell. It's a very logical, simple story. And in the end, the payoff was he did win the $1 Million belt and was like parading around with it. $1 Million Man was furious and trying to get his belt back. It was classic 1980s style storytelling. It's very simple.
I did watch it sometimes more often than others. The Undertaker came in. I started watching it again. You were always looking for something new, and then the story got a little old.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the stories tend to be repetitive. The only thing you can do sometimes is put a little veneer, like the classic stories. The good, David Goliath is the most basic story there is, and you can use it over and over again. But all you're doing is putting a different polish on it, coming up with a different variant of it. But it's the classics. I don't remember how many there are, but there's like a handful, like a certain number of basic story types, like basic story arcs,
Mhm.
and they're basically used over and over again. And really, through all of cinema and books and anything, it's the same story over and over again. It's just you change the character name, you add a complication, you do add another character in between, do something like that. But it's the same story. You're just
Yep.
telling it a different way. So do you feel more or less confident or more confident, no change in confidence when buying raw vintage now than in the 90s, 2000s, and 2010s? I don't feel any difference in confidence because usually for vintage, for raw vintage, you're buying the dealer. If you're really looking
Sure.
for dealers that have the experience, if you're buying from a rando on eBay that you've never heard of that happens to have some raw vintage, well, I would be a little weary of that if I can't have it in hand. If it's at the expo and I can look at the card and have it in hand, I have a lot more. My confidence is much higher because I know what I've had good dealers that have sold me trim cards, but then when I got it, as soon as I got a chance to look at it, I was like, nope, you're taking this back, and never been an issue because they've been doing it for a long time. You point it out like, look at that edge, and it's like, nope, you're right, send it back, refund, done. And then everything else, and I've gotten the cards, they're all fine. And it's been like one or two out of like hundreds of transactions. So it's like they know more or less what they're doing. If you know the dealer knows what they're doing, you should have plenty of confidence. But if it's some random person, I wouldn't. I'd be concerned. A scan can't do much. You can't do much with a scan.
I dig the new lingo. eBay Rando. Wow.
eBay Rando, of course. So we saw Bret Hart at the Summit Show in Edmonton, spring of 2019. Yeah, well, Bret Hart has had a lot of health problems.
Yeah.
Yep. So love Rocky Johnson, Teddy Atlas. That's very fair. They were a great tag team. $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase became an ordained minister. Very true. Complete departure.
No way.
Radical departure. Oh yes.
Huh.
He still does the $1 Million Man thing, but he treats it very much as like he likes to use the $1 Million Man character as like this is the ultimate cautionary tale of like, although he didn't really run into like a lot of personal problems from it, but he definitely got like used to the life of because he got to live the life of the $1 Million Man for a long time there. It's kind of tough to get away from being like, you're going to do limousines and private jets everywhere.
That's a good story. It's almost like Jesse going governor.
Exactly. So it's
and
one
then
of those,
and then conspiracy theorist and then whatever.
yeah.
He's got-
Joe summarizes it perfectly. Are we talking drama tonight? Save story. The protagonist and rising tension. What does it mean to be a great wrestler? Yes, Joe. That's exactly what we're doing. And in that vein, Joe, if you have any thoughts on the rising drama and the protagonist and the rising tension,
Come join us.
by all means, come join us. Tonight's going to be a little truncated, so if you're getting yourself settled in, you might want to move a little quicker. I'm going to have to be a lot more hard line on the cutoff time.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to pop in, do it a little bit quicker. Don't take your time. Don't lollygag.
Yes.
Bob, I was once an eBay rando. Bob, you're still an eBay rando. Even when we know who you are, you're an eBay rando. You never cease to be an eBay rando. Yes, yes, indeed. All right. So let me grab one more here, just since we're looking at here. Yeah, I heard Joe's highbrow respect to the chat. Love it. Love it. Of course. I like this card, and I wanted to tell a little story about this card because I actually brought a couple of cards in a small stack here, which I can talk about. But like I said, guys, if there's anything particular you do want to chat about, just throw it in the chat. I'll check it out, and we can definitely accommodate. That's no issue. I saw that this is one of the ones that's sold in Golden's auction, but I want to chat about it for a second because I thought it's something I've been monitoring. It's not one of the big like name cards that most people are looking at, but it was one that I was checking out because now they've got thousands of lots. Now there's a lot of lots on the Golden auction now. So this is a Pujols Bowman's Best PSA 10. So I've been kind of keeping an eye on this card. I'm a big fan of it. I like it. Obviously, I like the player, but I also like the card because I think it's a nice, aesthetically nice card. I have a copy, so I'll actually show it in a second. Not PSA 10, but I do have a copy of this one. But I was keeping an eye on it to see. I was curious what the final strike price would be on this thing. So it ended up selling for just under $1,600, including the buyer's premium. Good chunk of change, a real good chunk of change, no doubt. And it is a PSA 10, no question. So what I'll do, I just wanted to show that. So that's lot 195 in the most recent auction. So I'll show you guys. Grab the small stack over here. So that's this guy right here. Same card. It's got a little bit of a refractor shine to it. This is obviously not graded, but I will send it in at some point. The raw copies that were going for close to 500. So like this thing is appreciated quite a bit. But just it's interesting to see like a card that I am familiar with, because then I can kind of like look at it and go, okay, I know where this card came from and I know what the price point was on this one not long ago. And I actually do have, and I'm going to see if I can share it. I think I can share this on the screen as well. I actually pulled it from eBay because I couldn't remember the exact amount that I paid for it. And this was last summer and last fall when I was buying these cards. So it wasn't that long ago. It was less than a year. So I want to kind of use it for contrast. So let me see if I can do this. So I'll share the screen here. And if I can do this application window, there we go. I can do that. There we go. That's the exact card. So out of $29.99, 243 Canadian. So right now it's 500 US for the raw card, like the one I've got right here. That's the card. And 1,600 in PSA 10. And there was one that sold on eBay for 2,000 PSA 10.
Oh,
recently.
wow. What number's yours?
This is
287.
170 out of $29.99. I like, though, that it's a numbered card because then at least you've got a little bit of...
That one was 170.
Because that's the one I bought.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, that's the That's the exact card and the price that I paid.
Okay.
I wanted to actually find the real one,
gotcha,
so I could cite the real price. I figured it would be a good case study, being like, this is the exact amount and this is the card that I bought. That was months ago. And now, like I said, on eBay, 500 US now, or 400 and change. Same card. As is, and if you get a decent grade on it, 4 figures.
What's it going to grade at?
I think probably it's got a lot of hard colors on the back. So you've got the black and you've got chipping is a big thing with this one usually.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 9 on a good day, probably an 8. But for my collection, this is a keeper for me. I like this one for the collection, but I still want to put it in the holder anyway. I actually am a big fan of these ones. This one's from a playing game. It's got a little bit of shininess to it. It's MLB Showdown, but it is a Pujols rookie technically. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I do have a couple of other ones. But all of these have all gone up similarly. Like, it's absurd. These things, this thing's about 500 too. And I paid around the same as that other one.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so like all of these have more than doubled, if not tripled, since I bought them. The whole stack. And I'm like, okay.
Good deal. I was cleaning the room. I found a nice box bottom. I said, what are the chances it would have Gretzky on it? Well, it did.
Nice. Let me grab a couple of these ones here. The $1 Million Man story is actually pretty interesting. Paul considers changing eBay name to eBay Rando. Fair. Bob Lewis says, I set him up, you knock him down. Absolutely, Bob. You are good for that. eBay Rando's described a 52 Topps card as like new. True. eBay Rando's described card as a PSA 9 holder is conditioned very good. Yep. Yeah, I think basically so for the Bowman best, it's like I said, I would say 9 on a good day, most likely 8. That would be my guess. I'd have to look at it a little more closely to see how the chipping and centering is on it, but I feel like I'll say 8 conservatively.
Where is Victor when you need him? Damn.
True. I will say though, for the MLB Showdown, I think the reason Beckett does it is because they were pack pulled. It was a nationally available licensed pack card that was licensed from Wizards of the Coast, and you could get them out of packs, regular standard, just out of anywhere where packs are sold. So it meets a lot of the criteria that you would want.
Yeah, Victor actually popped a video this morning. It was really good. Want to check it out?
What's it about? Do you know?
Basically, he's putting in perspective a little bit more detail on the rookie and the rookie year, and he took a lot of examples. And actually, I learned something. He said something about if 2 cards of the same player comes up in the base set, which one is the rookie? Now, I came across this because I'm doing the rookie, doing the stickers, and I have 2 rookie stickers, and one's number 47, the other one's 138. They're both regular. They're no foil, but they're both the same player. It's a goalie, I forget. And I didn't know which one. And I was talking to my sticker guy, and he says, well, this one looks more like it would be a regular card. And he took the higher number, but it's actually the lower number or the first number where it comes out. So it was number.
I appreciate it several levels that you have a sticker guy. That seems like a Bobby Burrell thing to have. Guys, I talked to my sticker guy.
Honestly, you got to have your beehive guy, your sticker guy, and the rest I pretty much know. But you need those big, like stickers they're just not my game. I was born in the 60s, not the 80s, 70s, so I didn't grow through that sticker era. I was like 30 something. So I wasn't even looking at stickers.
Sure, no, that's fair enough. So PMN's comment here: just don't call the Pujols Bowman Best a rookie card. That one YouTube guy would freak. Which YouTube guy? It's a pack pull thing, regular base card. I'm not sure why that wouldn't be a rookie card. The Bowman Best one just seems like a straightforward example to me. Although I guess anybody could be picky about anything, so it's possible. So Paul here says Paul here likes the box bottoms there that you had. He says if box bottom ever needs a new home, he's saying. So there you go. Paul's a big Edmonton Oilers fan, so that would be right up his alley for sure.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, no doubt.
It happens.
All right. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a little fun with this for a little while, but I will remind. I'll just for anybody who's joining in just now, I will remind that we are in a little bit of a hard time cap today. So first thing I'll do, let me Joe, if you're good, just nod. Yep. Cool. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. So Joe, I'll quickly chat with you here in 1 second. All right. I'm going to bring Justin on, but early warning, we got a quick hook today. All right, Justin, if you're good, nod.
All right.
All right, Bobby, prepare yourself. You know the drill. Here we go. Justin.
Bang!
You are a glutton for punishment, my friend. You are a glutton for punishment. Truly a glutton.
Hey, whatever.
Exactly.
I'm used to it, man.
You clearly are. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So quickly before we continue, we'll get to you just in 2 seconds. So Joe, how's the evening treating you? How's it going?
What's up, Joe?
Not much, guys. Good to hear your voices. I was surprised by that Friday night show. That was cool, and you got some good stuff.
Yeah, no, I think I was very pleased with it. I thought it was one of those things. I realized that Monday was going to be a super early start, and I felt bad because I knew tonight I was going to have to be like, I got to hold the line on this one. As soon as they said, it's like, oh, we'll book 8:30 Monday morning. I'm like, no, I love my slow mornings on Mondays. But I'm like, all right, this is where the bills are paid, so we're going to do this your way. So I will be. So I will hold that line. I got to make sure I'm at my best to have this meeting. So I'll make sure that is the case. But no, doesn't mean we can't have a little fun Sunday like usual. But Friday was good because I knew some people, it's easier for them to hang out on Friday a little bit. And I thought it'd be kind of fun. And the crossover guys moved their thing back an hour, which was cool. I was like, okay, well, I actually was going to stop right around midnight, but the conversation was going well. So I was like, all right, forget it. We'll just go. And if anybody wants to pop off, they can. It's all good.
Yeah, we covered it a lot on Friday there.
Oh, okay. So he's PMN is saying Victor about the Pujols thing. You know what? I might have to ask Victor about it. I don't know why the issue would be with Bowman's Best for me. Like to me, it meets the criteria: license, regular brand, base card, back pulled. I don't see what the issue would be. So I don't know. It's possible. I just don't know.
Who's saying it's not?
No, he's saying that don't call the Bowman's Best a rookie card. When he was saying the YouTube guy would freak, he was referring to Victor. And I was like, I don't see what Victor's issue would be with that particular card. But hey, I'm more than willing to ask. I can certainly ask. I'll ask if he has any concerns about the card. So good evening, Dr. Exclusive. So Jeff here says, with dealers you trust, do you think you could spot cards that were in lucite bricks that were screwed too tightly? Yes. That'd be tough. I think you can, but it's tough. Depends on the card too. Like some cards are a little easier to figure out than others. Did you do much looking at the grades, Bobby, in those lucite holders? Because they're pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, very bad. It's kind of funny. Len Potty sells everything in a screw down. Mm-hmm. Very interesting that he would, but he's the PSA dealer. Yeah. Interesting.
Well, I think if you get though, like if you ask him for because when I was looking at some 60 Parkhurst, he had some, and he does have a stack of them that if you want certain singles, he does have them inside of the semi-rigids. So you can get them straight from there and they're fine.
Yeah. But I just don't like anything. The smaller ones are fine, the thinner ones, but you had those big, thick brick ones.
I would love to have just stopped you there right out of context. It's like, I don't like anything. Oh. Bobby, that sounds about right. Sounds good. Yeah. Yeah. But we know you do like the semi-rigids, though. You were saying without the penny sleeve, right? That's a preference for you. Yeah.
It's a preference for a lot of vintage guys. A lot of cards get damaged, and the top or back portion can get peeled back from not putting it in the sleeve. Mm-hmm. Now people slit open the end of the sleeve, they cut the end of the sleeve. A lot of things to do, but if you have it at your table, the clarity is amazing, opposed to a sleeve and then you have a double blocker where it just looks really nice, but it is just for simple display. It doesn't protect it to any certain degree that a regular top loader and sleeve would.
I think that's fair. So I'll quickly finish this one off here for Jeff's question. I think you can if you're experienced, but I hate trying to figure it out in those lucite bricks. I genuinely despise it. Like, it's terrible, and it's unfortunate that that's a thing sometimes you do have to deal with, without question. But if it's a really good dealer, they probably know that. They probably would have taken it out of the brick, because they're like, guys, this is impossible for everybody. It's not comfortable. It's not too look at. So this is regarding the crossover here. Talked about pizza talk, pizza ladder. They've been into their food talk. Josh has been into this. So if it's not pizza, because that's where the pizza question came the other day, the previous live stream. That's where that question came from. And if it's not that, it was his passion for help me out here, Joe. It was it's the like Mexican food place or whatever. Chipotle, thank you. Chipotle, thank you. Yeah, and the passion for Chipotle. Extensive Chipotle discussion.
Don't talk about food. Joe's here. He'll be eating anytime soon.
It is a little early out here in California, so you're right about that.
It's 6 o'clock. It's dinner time.
Right.
They have the appetite stirred, but if you think about it, I mean, you wonder what's going on? What's the subtext there when they're diverting to, pizza and Mexican food? I don't know. I mean, are they bored? Is a boredom?
I think yes. I think yes, Joe. I think it's the same reason that we don't consecutively go on this. When you look at the length of these live streams, illogically, if you've never seen it before, like, how could anybody on earth talk about sports cards for 6 hours? The answer is we don't.
Right.
We don't. It goes for 6 hours. Yes, there's sports card talk interspersed with ridiculousness. That's the point.
Well, and don't get me wrong, I was into it. I was like, enjoying the chat, participating in the chat, and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I think you're right. It's like it's a little more than just that. It's connecting with human beings.
Yeah, it really is just the crossover is their version on Instagram of we're just sitting here chatting. Yes, we'll talk about these questions and these things. Yeah, we'll talk about this. But how many times can you answer, oh, do you think this card's undervalued?
Right.
It gets old. You can't keep doing it over and over again. Like, it will get old.
We love cards, so what's the second or third best thing? And food.
Yeah. And you try to find
I said second or third, I said.
There you go.
Cover my bases.
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was just going to say they've got a lot of information in their head, so they probably need a little time to kind of like shift gears, because all that market mover data, no offense to anybody here, Bobby's probably got as much data in his head at times 10, but for most of us, like, there's probably a level of like saturation where you do need to disassociate a little bit and just have some fun.
Yeah. I do that a lot.
And the thing is they work together. Chris and Christina live together. So they're sitting here, they're having chat. And here's
all
the thing.
day.
We're doing this all day anyway. The last thing in the world we need to do is spend the whole 3 hours talking about more sports cards.
Yeah. Is it 3.6x multiplier from the 9 to the 10 on the Silver Prism?
Yeah.
Honey, as you get up.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people in the chat, they know what are like the trigger points. Like, what question we ask that will annoy Josh?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And they play right into it. They're like, I'm going to ask this question because it's going to get us the result we're looking for here. So some entertainment.
Yeah.
Carlos, did you see Victory Investments documentary on the Star Jordan and the Fleer Jordan today that dropped?
No, I didn't catch it yet. So it's Victory Investments on this one?
Yeah, the rapper guy, the guy that does the cool raps. And
okay. No, Jeremy loves that guy. I didn't. Is it
the rapper
YouTube,
guy?
though?
The rapper guy?
It's worth checking out. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
It's on Instagram. It's
it's on Instagram.
Yeah.
So is it a rap or is it an actual documentary?
No, it's a documentary.
Okay,
it's about a 15-minute documentary that's sort of taking you through the whole trajectory of both the 84, 85 Star Jordan card and the 1986, 87 Fleer Jordan card, and kind of tying them together as like co-creators of each other's destiny. And it's pretty cool. I think you'll enjoy it.
I think that's an interesting venue, though, to premiere that on Instagram, because they do have Instagram videos. So that is a thing you can definitely do. But it is an interesting venue. You can definitely get eyeballs, but I don't know if you could get like the maximum amount. That is kind of an interesting choice as a venue to have it, right?
15 minutes documentary?
It would be a short one. It would be a short one, Bobby, for sure. But
I think they call it something else, don't they? I don't know.
it's basically a short. I would consider like a short.
A
film.
short.
Like, yeah, like a
Yeah.
short. Yeah, but regardless, though, even 15 minutes, like still, Instagram isn't the first place you think to look for
True.
a video on.
That's probably long for Instagram, so
Yeah, so it's like
and
it's
super long for TikTok.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting venue, but hey, definitely send it my way. I would be happy to check it out without a doubt.
Without going too far back in time, on Friday, you guys were talking about the Sasha T drop,
Mhm.
at the Dallas show and the big Charizard trade, and I didn't really get a chance. I was in and out of the chat at that night, but what did you make of the trader? I don't even know what else to call him. The trader,
So the guy on the other side.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
other side of the deal. Okay.
Yeah, what was he? He had a friend. He was like not interested in cash apparently, and he was, like a little whimsical in the whole like 1 second it's Kobe and the Topps Chrome Refractor, and now he's going all in on LeBron. I mean, what did you make of that whole transaction? Did it seem like what was going on underneath it all? Is what I'm asking, I guess.
Right. So we'll definitely talk about it a little bit now. But I actually I was 99% sure I am definitely doing a video doing a breakdown. The Zapruder film thing's happening. You know this, Bobby. It's happening. I will sit there and play back that video in a video and be like, we're going through this thing from front to back. We're going to talk about the whole thing. We're going to do it. But to your question, and real quick, I'll just say good evening to Steve as well. Thanks for joining in on Friday. Steve was hanging out for quite a bit. He's still tired from Friday. I don't blame him. And I'll quickly grab a couple of comments, and then we'll speak to what Joe was saying a second ago here. So we need a rookie card bat signal for Victor. Fair. I think that's reasonable. Cards and screw down with sleeve. We go back idea. Apparently PSA deems that to be altered. Yeah. No, for sure. PSA though, that's their opinion, right? But regardless, those screw downs really they've messed up a whole generation of cards. It's really unfortunate that it was supposed to be designed in this protection mechanism, and it did the opposite in a lot of cases. It's a real shame. And I'll leave Paul's food question here. I'll get to it in a minute. But let me address. You can read it, Bobby, ahead of time to prepare yourself for your response. You are the culinary expert here.
I am something like that.
Yeah. So
Sure,
I'll touch on Joe's question here. Whenever you have, that's part of the whole modern, younger dealers thing that I was talking about earlier. It's a very interesting mechanism because they don't own the cards outright, right? So part of the deal was that Sasha had one of the cards in the deal that he co-owned with like a buddy of his. So they had some kind of an arrangement there, which created a complication in putting it together to the point that he's there so you can consult each other and be like, okay, he's like, no, to make this deal, if you need to make this deal, make the deal, and then we'll figure out the other side of it later. Don't worry about it. Just do your thing. So you've got that conversation going on. On the other side with the Charizard, he's got a partner. And the partner is presumably not standing there, but he's around somewhere, off in the distance, because you're getting this truncated version of a 2-hour transaction. This back and forth. I have no doubt the guy walked off and then came back and then walked off. But you're not seeing all that. You're seeing these interactions with each other, including the very time-honored negotiation tactic of telling everybody what your actual valuation is with the other guy within earshot. A standard time-honored move. Big fan of that one. But I think even though the other guy had the partner, which he needed to obviously consult, if you're going to make a deal, and you've got a partner, you got to take care of that. I think it was interesting because it felt like he really was inclined to make the deal though, because he just seemed to be because obviously if you're willing to stick it out for 2 hours and rework it, and you can get cash, and you clearly don't want cash, you want what you saw there was an interesting valuation, because basically like. The $400,000 valuation right now is probably not unreasonable. I think that's probably fair. But if you don't want cash, but then you're basically saying you want those other cards that Sasha was offering, you felt they're worth more. Whereas Sasha feels this card's worth $1 million potentially. So it's this weird dynamic where like, in the end, I'm not going to evaluate the components of the deal because that depends on what you think. If you think the Charizard does go to $1 million, well, then probably that's the better end of the deal. You're getting one card that goes to 7 figures. You're probably doing okay. The other cards were these different LeBron cards, and then there was also a Trout thrown in there as well. There's $100,000 cash. So there's a lot of moving parts. You can break down the pieces, but a lot of it will depend on your sensibility. Do you think the LeBrons have more room to move? Probably yes. Do you think the room to move is enough to offset the potential room to move that the Charizard has? That's basically what so in theory, both of these cards could go up, and whoever wins the deal is whichever one went up more.
It seems like they were partnered. He's partnered with a guy, and the guy says, "Well, I want to try to get this one because I think this is going to go up." And so they were trading back and forth, so they were just hedging their bets both ways. Like Justin, people hedge their bets all the time in the stock market industry. It's like they were just kind of. But it's funny. Two sides are thinking two opposite things.
Very, yeah. Because both of them are thinking in their own way that because one side was trying to diversify it into I want these multiple cards and I want $100,000 cash that I can take out of this transaction right now.
They didn't want the cash, really.
Well, they did. They did end up taking, but in the end, they ended up taking part.
But they were at 30 or 40, I think, at one time.
Yeah, and then eventually it became 100, and then towards the tail end, it was like, let's compose a deal that will involve 100,000 in cash.
Yeah, and let me just say one thing about the stock market, just because Bobby brought it up.
Nope.
Whenever I buy stocks, I also short the S&P 500. I add to my short at the same time. So I do this. I do that. If I find a real opportunity, I will also short the S&P while I add to the new position or add to a position. If it's just one or two shorts, blah blah blah. So yeah, it's complex. The stock market is very complex.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I don't want to leapfrog over that comment because I don't actually know enough about the stock market. So I'd probably need more clarification about what Justin just said. But
yeah, it's weird. I know.
No, go ahead. Well, we'll save that for another moment. All I was going to add was there was also the Kobe chrome refractor greening thing that was in there.
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's a whole subplot worthy of exploration as well, because I feel like of all the three cards, that's the card that was the most intriguing to me, to have a Kobe refractor, high graded one. I think that's got a lot of room, but then you're dealing with this greening thing. And I think that's where the other guy got a little, like dragged out to the deep end of the pool a little bit, because I think one of his initial interest points was that card, which we saw the Black Label. What did it go for? 1.8? 1.2? I
believe something like that. I believe that's right.
And so there's some comps going on there that would make you think about trading the Charizard. And I know nothing about Pokemon, but I guess that was a little part for me that I wanted unscrambled a bit, was where and when did the decision to not go for the chrome refractor Kobe card because of the greening? And Sasha kept saying, hey, I'm not trying to get over on you on this. This is like given, but we're talking about such nuances at that point with the way that the card is deteriorating within the given grade of the case, that gets very nuanced.
Yes. And there's a couple of comments that touch on it a little bit. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, they're upselling the comps. It was amazing. It was cool to watch, because okay, I know this is 170, but, and it was just, I'll give you, it's going to go this, and it was so good. It was so funny to watch. And the funny part is, it's documented. We can see how this is going to trail out in the next 6 months, maybe.
Now, the thing is, that's why basically what you alluded to, and then also what Joe said, is part of the reason why, like, I was joking at first, but then the more I thought about it, the more it made sense to be like, no, I kind of do want to break this down a little bit. I kind of want to talk about a couple of, because again, if I'm just looking at the cards themselves, well, that's easy. Add up the cards, figure out where you think it's going to go. Okay, here's where I think we are right now. This is an easy breakdown. Just list the cards, and that's not that complex. But what you saw and what you're talking about with the greening piece was you're trying to project forward, and there was a bit there where Sasha was trying to really play up the fact that the greening was minimal and using that as an adjustment to the price, where the other person cared about that less and did see a little bit of greening. But what do you do? Because what you're really doing when you're doing this deal and you're putting these, Lego blocks together on each side to try to make it sort of match-ish, at least in principle. What you're really doing is you're basically engaging in opposite sides of, I'm trying to minimize the value of your asset so I can get as much as possible, while you're trying to minimize the value of my asset to get as much as possible. And PMN right there has a comment here, which I'm going to get to in 2 seconds, which talks about a piece of that too. And Paul, we'll come back because, the food talk, Bobby will fill us in on this. But just directly related to this, Robert Dudek here says, with the Charizard trade, you're going for upside and therefore accepting greater downside risk. Very true. And what PMN here throws in, it felt like Sasha let emotion start driving the need to get the deal done. And yes, If you watch that vlog, it's very much was. Remember that Charizard is a population 121. It's not a pop 5.
Right
It's not
now.
a pop 10. Correct. But I'm saying even today, as it stands today, 121. So it's not like it's never going to walk in the door again, ever, ever, ever. Go ahead.
The funny part, that Charizard is 121. When was the last one that sold for a record price?
It wasn't long ago.
So I want
So it hasn't circulated the PSA run of 6
Sure.
month, 8 month time period.
Yeah, for sure.
So how many 121 is, and when is he going to sell it is the wise part. And is this good golden for the grandkids? We don't know.
Yeah, correct. But even if you feel like 121 is going to hold for a little while, it's still not rare. Like it's not common, but it's not super uncommon. It's not super.
He's just
uncommon.
hedging his bets on the younger kids coming in, being of age, and
And there may very well be, and I think that may very well be the case because I think there will be a generation with some money that may have a lot of interest in this card. I do believe that to be true.
how long is he going to sit on it though? That's the question.
That's a different that's an entirely different conversation.
Because I have a name for him, I'm just going to call him Jacket Guy.
Jacket guy, okay.
Jacket Guy had a partner, right? And I get the feeling that one of them was okay with the green and the other was not okay with the green. That's my read on the situation.
Sure. But just think about the nuance you're talking about there. 1 second.
was it
Joking on that beer. But anyway, but when you're talking about the nuances of that deal, though, you're basically debating the level of greening. Like imagine you're talking about like, oh, but that's like 5% greening. If it had been like 4, I would have accepted it. And I'm like, really? Like imagine if like you're getting to that level. And by the way, that's a process of the production of the card. And it was only a small era where that greening was a real issue. Topps eventually figured out how to fix that because in future iterations of Finest, it was less of a problem as you went along. It was just a certain period of time where there was an issue with the technology where they had something in the manufacturing that created this issue.
Was
Down
it
the
not
road-
air exposure?
I believe that's one of the aspects of it. It could be humidity as well. It could be a couple different things.
I heard
But
it's
something-
humidity.
Yeah, but something about the chromium at that time, and it's in the earliest iterations. Later on, less of a problem.
I mean, so with that in mind, is it just a matter of time until all of those issues start to green and or become green? And in which case, does it matter as much? I mean, I had the same question. I had a nice, I think it was actually a 98, 99 Kobe refractor, a 97, 98 refractor, and it was starting to green. And I didn't like the card. It looked like flawed to me, but in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have sold it because maybe they're all going to go that way.
And that's a big issue. That's a real big issue for. I guess it depends on what you have to have a little bit of an understanding of the issue to look at it. To your point, though, I'd have a hard time paying a major premium. I'm not completely disagreeing with Jacket Guy and his side of the equation, where like the fact that it hasn't greened yet isn't necessarily such a big deal, unless I'm going to flip the card right away. In which case, then maybe that's not my problem. It'll be somebody else's problem down the road. But I had some 94 Bowman Best cards that I bought a box of. This is years ago when they were a lot cheaper to buy that box, and there isn't anything too crazy in it. But I went and just put the cards away in a box for a couple of years, came back to them, and most all of them had greened. All of them. And I pulled them out of a, and I'm talking like 2 or 3 years. I'm not talking about 10 years or 15.
No,
And they were sitting in a box and just minding their own business. I went and looked, they're green.
And so for that reason, I think they were probably, I mean, it really depends on which way you go with the greening.
Mm-hmm.
Do you go the way where, well, they're all going to be green, so getting a 9 or a 9.5 of a Kobe refractor rookie card is like what you want regardless? Or do you think like, I want the one that's not green, in which case they're, what are you really saying there if they're all going to turn green? You're saying
They're
for
all gonna go green.
a little bit of time, you're going to have the one that's not green and then it's going to be green.
Is the grade affected by the green?
Not really, because at the moment it's not considered to be a surface defect.
Oh,
Because it's a natural, it doesn't cause any like surface damage
so
necessarily.
it's sort of like a good 10 and a bad 10
I mean, the way I'd answer that
without, with or
Go ahead,
without,
Joe.
right?
Go ahead, Joe.
I'd say a good thing for price if you're buying a green one.
I mean, for starters, you got to ask: did it green within the time it's been in the holder? Because that can happen.
And it does happen. Yep.
And then the other question is, I mean, are the grading companies looking at that as a surface defect? And I've heard different answers from different people, and the smartest people I know, I think, are unclear on it. So it's a big question. It's a very big question.
I'm still unclear. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe it would be good if the grading companies put out a judgment on that. Because I think some of those cards are going for so much money that it might be worthwhile to be like, okay, look, here's our policy on this. This is the policy. We're just going to treat it in the same way that an O-Pee-Chee rough edge is like, well, it's part of the manufacturing process. It happened. It happened. It is what it is. Graded based on its merits.
If you get a nice cut though, that isn't.
Sure.
So
yeah.
it's more desirable. So
For
wouldn't the less green or no green be more desirable in the same grade?
For some folks, it is though. That's kind of the point that basically was playing into this. But here's the thing:
Wouldn't it be all folks?
But what if you don't care? What if you're of the opinion that it's going to green eventually anyway? So why am I paying your premium for something that's going to happen anyhow if I hang on to it long enough?
Well,
So
it's
I'm
pretty
getting
old
no
to
benefit
begin with, and maybe it was exposure.
No, but all I'm saying to you, Bobby, is like, imagine if you knew definitively in time it will green no matter what. Why would you then pay a premium just because you're delaying the inevitable? It managed to avoid it a little longer, as opposed to if I keep it in my position long enough, I'm still going to end up with the same result.
I guess so.
Yeah.
That hasn't been determined yet. I guess so.
The other critique I would put on Jacket Guy is he did two different LeBron rookie cards and then the Kobe Exquisite, which I'm not going to argue with an on-card Kobe Exquisite. I mean, great. Okay. I don't know what that went into the deal. But the two LeBron, one was an X-fractor and one was just a regular refractor. I maybe he could have diversified a little bit on that move. It seemed like he was going pretty hard into LeBron, and then I guess I'm not as attracted to those cards.
Maybe he's a LeBron fan.
Yeah.
Or his buddy was.
That kind of plays it. But those dynamics do play into the deal, though. Like if it's equivalent cards that are supposedly equivalent value, but you actually want that card a little bit more, it becomes a little easier as a bargaining chip, right? So it's like. Because if you say 100,000, 100,000, well, do you want these 5 cards and these 5 cards? But they're 5 cards of players I don't care about. But the value is equivalent. I'm going to be a lot less interested, as opposed to the other person who's like, well, I'm more interested in this other card. That's where that previous comment about Sasha's emotion. It was very clear he wanted the card. So if you're Jacket Guy, it's like, well, I have a bit of an advantage here. I get to really play games with this and move the pieces around the chessboard a little bit and kind of get more or less what I'm looking for, throw in some cash. I'll take this card. I'm less interested in that card, so I'm not going to value it as much. You're arguing for this value, but I'm going to take it at a lower value in order to make it work for me. And I want this cash and this piece and this piece and this piece. And that's kind of the anatomy of that deal. It's how you value the stuff that comprises the two sides.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when you're making a deal like that, at the end of the day, if you don't want the card for the long term, you also got to consider, hey, I could sell it at a show, but I know I can sell it on eBay, and there's going to be a fee to sell it on eBay. So there's going to be, but the guy sounds like he wanted the LeBrons for the long term, so he wasn't worried about those percentages on those, with the deal.
Interesting.
Yep.
So, do you see I'm turning into? I turned my hat around and put my glasses on.
Hey, it's the Sunday night thing.
I'm going to start eating soon.
Yeah, I got some popcorn.
May as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, Justin. You make me think about it there because, like, I wasn't trying to undersell the magnitude of LeBron, and having two really high-end LeBron rookie cards does give you the opportunity to maybe let one go somewhere along the way and still have one.
Yeah.
So that's a strategy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it was. What are you trying to get out of this deal? That's basically what it was. You have this one big card that's a centerpiece of the deal, but if I'm getting components that I want, maybe one I can trade, maybe one I can sell, maybe one I hang on to. Like if you're getting what you want out of this deal, then you'll still feel good on the other side. And I got some cash as part of it too. Maybe I'm feeling good with it. Whereas Sasha was like, I really want this card. My focus is on this specific card, and I want to figure out a way to get this card in my possession. What configuration of things do I have to do to get that card from you?
But how much did Sasha's notoriety in this moment actually, like, he's going to speak it into existence? You know, like it will become the $1 million Charizard card.
Well, that's true.
You got it.
Do not be shocked if that's part of the reason that negotiation lasted as long as it did and stayed on the table. Where like there was an interest in being like, maybe I don't want your first offer, but I'm more inclined to sit here and work on more permutations of it, and I get airtime because I know the camera's there. That's why I'm standing here while you're talking to homie, talking about valuations, and I'm still standing here.
And Victor's question is right on. Is how his partner had his back.
I want to get to it. So let me zip through a couple of these comments, and we'll get to that. So first, good evening, Victor.
Yep.
So real quick,
Well, we got a question for him too.
Absolutely. So Sasha has several episodes where he extols the virtue of the Chrome cards that do not Hulk or green, how he thinks a major premium. Yep. So from Sasha's standpoint, it totally makes sense for him to try to pitch on the premium. What I'm saying though is if you're on the other side and you genuinely don't believe in the premium, it becomes a hard sell. And there were moments in that negotiation where it felt like Sasha's like, no, seriously, the lack of greening is the thing. And then the other guy goes, well, there's a little bit of greening. So it's this horse trading. It's totally this horse trading thing. It's 100% like, I'm trying to squeeze every last ounce out of my side of the deal. If I can devalue your thing just a little bit more, it makes my case stronger to maybe get another card thrown in or whatever the case may be.
And they're throwing around $5,000 like it's nothing. Like, yeah, okay, let's just say 25, 30. It was like,
they're throwing 50, Bobby. They're throwing around 50.
Yeah.
No, I think it was the cash deal and the valuations. But no, he says, okay, 35, 40, whatever. It's like, okay, it's $5K.
Yeah, you don't do that, Bobby, all the time. Like I heard
Not
you at the Card
often.
Expo. Like, look, man, 105,000 one way or the other. I don't care.
That's it.
Whatever. I can barely buy coffee for that.
$7.95 for shipping. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so 4x4 Rubicon says, I honestly feel this modern PSA tarot cards are extremely overpriced. You're entitled to that opinion. To me, PSA only matters in a vintage card, for example, pre-70. I get what you're saying, but the thing is, if a modern card is, it's what the person buys into, right? If it's a kind of open production, we don't know the print run, whatever. If it's a card that already has a stated print run or like a certain limitation on it, so like there's 100 cards of it, and you know that out of the 100 cards, there's only 2 or 3 PSA 10s, and someone really wants the PSA 10, well, then it can't be overpriced because then they just will pay whatever they want. Now, if nobody wants it and no one cares, then yeah. But that's the thing. It is still supply and demand still rules the land. Matters on a card for vintage card, for example, pre-1970. Well, then you've lost the entire 1970s, and there's still cards in the 1970s that I promise you are condition scarce. I can guarantee that.
Oh, so
like,
many.
That's what I mean. Like,
It
but
only matters.
yeah, that's the problem is when you're doing like an arbitrary cutoff. Trust me, 1971 tops is condition sensitive. Getting one that's clean is very difficult to do. I guarantee you. So
Just
the
in
pre-1970
centering alone.
Precisely.
74 is
Right.
actually
Awesome.
one of the worst years that most people don't know. So
Precisely. That's what I'm saying. Like, just be careful about trying to do like, random cutoffs. It gets tricky with that.
Yeah.
I understand your general point.
Right.
So Robert here says not all agreeing with the same rate. Totally true. 100% right. Some may take 50 years. That might be true. But again, we don't know the exact nature of what causes the greening. That's the problem. We don't know the exact conditions that lead to the greening.
we need a chemist.
That would help. But let's say there is a little bit of the humidity factor to it, which I personally believe there is.
That's
a
what
humidity factor to
Rodman
it.
said last night.
So assuming, let's say you take a card that has avoided the screening, but you go to a place that happens to have high humidity.
Well, depends on maybe what city you live in too.
Agreed. I'm totally with you. But I'm saying, like, if you happen to be a place that has that humidity problem, and it turns out that is the trigger,
Yep.
your card that has avoided it up until this point, all of a sudden greens in 6 months. Darn. And that's unfortunate. So Yannick here puts in, does it fall under eye appeal? 100%. If you care about it or don't care about it, it's totally an eye appeal question. 100%. Some people care, some more than others. It very much depends. And here's Victor's comment on this. Appreciate how his partner had his back. Do what you got to do. We'll square up later. Yep. That was Sasha's partner on that one who had one of the cards in the deal because he had partial ownership. So it wasn't just like, yeah, trade whatever. No, hold on. He basically gave him carte blanche to do what he needed to do to complete this deal, and then we'll figure it out later because he owned a share in that card. I think it was a 50-50 split.
However, was he doing the same thing as Sasha with the $1 million valuation? Was he being the super nice guy on the side too,
Maybe.
on purpose?
Maybe there's some
The
palace
motives.
intrigue. Maybe there's some palace intrigue there, Bobby. We just
I
don't
think
know.
I think
We just
there is.
So Hockey's comment here. Card ladder can't keep up with their competitor in terms of cards out over the last 30 days. Won't even come close. What secrets of the hobby are they unlocking? Do they even care they are behind? That seems a little out of left field.
Secrets of the
I
hobby.
actually read like half of it and then I didn't catch the second half. I was like, okay. So
Oh, he's talking about the volume.
I know. Okay, so
Right.
so in terms of cards added, we know this. Here's the thing. You're right. You're right. I like the card ladder guys, but I told them that they have to put more profiles in. I've said it as much. I said it to their face. I've said it on live stream. I've said it repeatedly. So yes, you are correct. You will need to have more cards in there. And the problem is right now, there's still a startup. Oh, okay. Here we go. I see what you're saying. Their ad says unlocked. Oh, that's marketing copy, man. That's marketing copy.
Unlocking the
I get
secrets.
I get your point, but it's because they pull the data and then you can't, for the ones they have profiles for, you can pull data and kind of see the graph over time. So it is helpful if the card is in the database. If it's not, then you're right, it's not. So that's fair. I get your point, but that's marketing.
So if they put a new card in, they have to do the back work to update it.
Basically.
So that's a huge
yeah.
undertaking.
Yeah, but you can access the eBay API and pull a lot of that old data, and you're also grabbing stuff from PWCC, which they have a database, so you can extract it.
Yeah, but every one you have to do. So one card is
Yeah, but that's the reason why.
Yeah, but they got stricter standards than market movers.
Yeah, the profile takes time to create. They can do a fair number of them, but the problem is they're limited by having literally 2 people doing it.
they got thousands to get to, 100,000s.
My argument has always been the scalability. Right now, there is no way they can scale because it's Chris and Christina. Those are your analysts, Chris and Christina. That's it. Any moment of the day or night that they are not doing that is not. No more profiles are being made. So as long as they're working on profiles, they're making profiles, then it works. And once it's in, the system can automatically update data. It kind of just takes over and it's automatic from there. But you got to build the profile. So the more profiles you can build, the better the more expansive the data set gets. And my critique has been, from day one, they're very basketball heavy. That's their bread and butter. That's what they're comfortable with. That's what they understand. But I'm like, well, you've got Juan Soto cards, but there's a bunch that I think are missing. A bunch that would be useful to have. Even rookie year ones that would be useful to have for data purposes and comparison and all that. And he's a pretty popular player. But imagine a bunch of other guys that are maybe in the second tier that people would love to be able to look up. It's not there. It's just not. So,
What about that question for Victor?
I'm pulling it up here.
No, the question for Victor that you had earlier about the,
Yes. You're right. Well, that was a question that someone posed, but I think Victor would be a good person. Victor, somebody was mentioning earlier that I guess you have issue with, Bowman Best cards or something like that. I was showing a 2001 Bowman Best Pujols. So is there any issue you have with the 2001 Bowman Best issue? Maybe that you don't think they're rookie cards. Maybe it doesn't fall under one of the criteria. So feel free to chime in on that. I wasn't sure if there was any issue with it, but somebody referenced it. So we thought we'd ask you directly since they reference you. So let me go PMN here. So I'm always worried about projecting future value of a card. Very fair. Better always stick with current market value. That's tough though, because current market value, because you can see this. I did use the example of the one Pujols card. On Golden Auction, it was $1,600 with the buyer's premium. That's the most recent sale, like literally yesterday. It ended yesterday. And an eBay sale maybe less than a week ago was about $2,000. So which is the current value? Both PSA 10s.
1,800.
Sure, but do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you're trying to use comps and there's only 2 with it, but they're within a short time period of each other, which one do you pick? Do you pick the golden one? But it has a buyer's premium. So like, we have to include the buyer's premium.
It almost equals.
No, totally. But they're pretty close. What I'm trying to say is they're not far off. But then, which is the current market value?
Yeah, and the key is to understand those platforms, and then you can value it on your own, right?
You need about 4 sales at least to really get a nice, healthy, like close sales.
Sure.
Yeah.
And depending on the print run of the card, though, that gets a bit tricky because that one is $29.99, which is not short printed. No, certainly not. But they don't trade every 5 minutes. It's some collectors are holding them, and they're like, it's in the collection. It's they've held the card for some time. They do sell on a semi-regular basis, but it's not like there's not 5 on eBay right now.
Yeah.
So they will sell, but not like all the time.
So a lot of people have their cards at like 3,000 because they think they want to up the last comp. So you don't even get a sale.
Correct. And if it doesn't sell, we can't use that as a comp because there's nothing happened, right?
Yeah.
So last part here, it's a dangerous rabbit hole if you start predicting future comps. That's fair. Totally with you. And I think Victor agreed with that. I think that's what he was referring to here. And Amish Dave Archer, as you well know, a savant of statistical analysis. He's a devout follower of card ladder and market movers. He's followed them for years. They haven't completely existed for years. Some of them have, not exactly, but yes, I agree with Dave. Listen, the man doesn't have a computer, but he builds Tesla engines. Trust me. We covered that on Friday's live stream.
You called him a savant? What more? An Amish savant?
There's no doubt. I often go with, now outside of computers, I go to my technology guru, Amish Dave Archer.
You have people.
Not for computers.
You have people. I have people.
Yeah, he's like my sticker guy, except he's like my Tesla engine guy. That's where I go. All right, so someone only knows one sport. They aren't much of a sports fan. No, that's fair. I get you. But the problem is that no one can be fully versed in every sport because then your depth of knowledge then becomes real shallow. If you try to really cover everything, you're not going to have the depth. You're always going to have one that you're stronger in, for sure. Like I tend to be a little deeper in baseball because I'm super comfortable with it, but I do have a pretty good knowledge of some hockey. I don't try to pretend I have deep knowledge of football. I don't have it, but I do know folks who do. So then I will defer to them and chat with them and get some information, and I try to absorb what I can. But nobody's good at every sport. Nobody has that kind of depth of knowledge. You can do the research, but it's not the same as knowing it off the top of your head from experience. You can only experience so much.
Yeah, the Rain Man effect is very few.
Go ahead, Joe.
I'm appreciating all the forward ahead. I just wanted to bring us back one more time to the Sasha thing. The two questions that I'm left with on that.
Should I get you to join me on the breakdown, Joe? Because I really want to. I actually don't mind. We can always arrange that.
No, I trust you to go through every twist and turn and analyze each. It's like a chess game. Carlos, you're going to break it down like a chess game. But the two questions I have, one is, what makes that such compelling hobby content? And I think a couple of the viewers have identified one of the things, which is both of the traders had other people involved. They weren't just by themselves entirely. They were talking to people about it. They were in both instances, there was actually like ownership of certain collaterals being, collectively, bartered. So I think that's interesting. And then the other one, the other side, which, brings up the whole thing of like getting off of marketplaces and doing things directly, which I think we're all hungry for in the pandemic, like getting to meet face to face and be able to like do these deals without fees, without, is it goods and services or is it, PayPal direct? Like there's something beautiful about making a deal in person. And then lastly, I got the feeling, Carlos, you were sort of going down the rabbit hole of Jacket Guy winning the trade. And I'm not sure if that's what you're expressing, but I was kind of picking up on that a little bit. And it seems like the few people that have commented on the trade have said that Sasha definitely won the trade. So, it's interesting, like ultimately time will tell, but it's an interesting, even at this moment, valuation of the whole transaction would be an important or an interesting, look at how you ultimately valued the differences in the bartering.
Right. I didn't try to go too far into one thing that I can tell you right now that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to try to pronounce a winner. If and when I do that video, that won't be my goal because there's too many variables. There's too much guessing. I'm not going to play that game. I do like the versatility of having multiple cards versus one. It does give you some flexibility in having multiple avenues. So that's not winning, but I like flexibility. I like that in that trade, you're getting huge value. You can play some games. You can hold on to some. You can trade some. You can sell some. You do have some. And you got some cash out of the deal. So you got a lot of components you can play with there. So I like that.
Maybe the other guy had another trade going on.
And Sasha's very clearly happy with his end of the deals, for sure. So I think right now at the moment, I think both sides are happy with the result that they got today. 6 months or a year down the road, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out, for sure. But for the moment, I like flexibility. if I'm in that deal, I would favor the camp of having more cards that are still really high quality cards, still certainly high end, and I'm still able to do a lot of really interesting. You can sell some of those cards for some money and get money right away. Some of those cards are very sellable, very liquid. You can turn them around and sell them right now, or you can hang on to them for a little bit and see what the situation is, and maybe you do even better in 3 or 4 months or 6 months.
The one thing I think everybody's going to be watching the next Charizard that sells.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody in the hobby, everyone.
That'll play into too.
I didn't see the video, but it actually sounds to me like the last Charizard I think sold for like 380 roughly on Golden, I think.
Give
and
or
that
take,
was
something like
some
that.
like big rappers bought it, right? And that was probably like a month ago, right? I'm thinking month and a half. So it's almost like Sasha just saying like, look, almost like the Jordan selling for 700, right? So he's kind of a prominent figure, but he's not at the same time. So, and Gary Vee is a huge fan of the Charizard. So it's almost like he's like trying to continue this tone we got going. Maybe that might be in his theory behind it. I got a big following. I'm going to reestablish this tone in the market because the market is taking a dip. Let's just be honest here. But then again, that last transaction for 380 was a month and a half ago. Prices are still higher than a month and a half ago, right? So he's just trying to, re-hit a certain part of people's heads in the market. Maybe, who knows? There might have been something like that going into it.
That's how the stock market works, there, right, Justin?
The same thing how the stock market works.
Yep.
Yeah. The other thing I will say is that it also does help, and thank you, Victor, for clarifying. I just
Momentum.
I'll read it in a second. But I do think it's also helpful that by having the vlog that people see, because like I said, Sasha is getting a lot of traction, a lot of these things, social media, a lot of discussion, a lot of it. Obviously, we're talking about it right now. We've talked about it the last couple of streams. So, it's part of it. Like I said, I'm not involved in that world. I'm not trading in high-end Pokemon. I don't know a single Pokemon card, but I'm paying attention. Part of what I like to do with these things is I like to inform myself so that then I can discuss these current events, so to speak, because that's one of them. And we have the advantage of that vlog, but in doing that, he also brings attention to card. He gets to take pictures with it on his social media. That all plays into it. Now, is that going to pay dividends right this second? Maybe, maybe not. But in 6 months or a year down the road, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt that it has a little bit of notoriety. He doesn't have to do anything right now. He can afford to sit on it. He's got other cards. He can sell other cards. It's not a big deal. But it's good for him that he got to the stage where he can afford to sit on that card for a little bit and maybe see if he's right. If it turns out he's right, by the way, that has value too. You made this big deal. You got this card and you turn around and sell it for $1 million in 12 months or 18 months. That's a feather in your cap.
Yeah.
Like for sure. And you get to vlog that, and it only adds to your credibility. Like it all plays together. It all works, right?
Yeah, and everything's moving really fast. Like you put me into Sasha, so I started watching. Not everyone, but I watched a few. Now this is really interesting. Now everybody else is kind of going, "What's going on?" And then they tune in, and this word of mouth thing just goes fast.
Correct. That's what I mean. Like there is the play. That's why I said. That's why I was having a little fun with Joe's point about Jacket Guy. Well, there's a value to Jacket Guy for being in this transaction too. Mm-hmm. He's got his cards, and people can debate. Part of the drama of this is the debate. You're going to have the people who are going to focus on the two sides and be like, "Oh, Sasha totally won that," or "Jacket Guy he fleeced Sasha," and you can have that argument.
Controversy sells, right?
If you want. And it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt Jacket Guy's cards, and it doesn't hurt Sasha's cards. They both win. They both get to walk away with a little notoriety, and it's recorded for edification.
The Jacket Guy was quite relaxed.
I love that now
Sasha.
we call him Jacket Guy. I love that now he is now Jacket Guy.
We need to know his real name.
I know he's officially the Jacket Guy. Bobby called him.
We'll call him JG.
The Jacket Guy.
he was kind of sitting there, really casual. And Sasha, you could just see him like whispering. He's all over. He's sweating. He said, "I can't."
But that's why I think though that Jacket Guy actually, I think he was interested in making this deal happen. It was very comfortable sitting but I felt like he was very comfortable. He's like, "You want this card really badly. Mm-hmm. I will make this work. But we're going to take our time. I'm going to put you over the coals, and we're really going to drag this thing out."
He did that, and you could see how he was doing that to him. He was really just going, "Well, we can do this later tomorrow. It's like, no, we're getting it done today.
But that's the thing. Like, I think he had the luxury of time. He didn't need to make that move right that second, but he can like, I'll drag this out over a couple hours. We can do that. That's okay. I got
Sasha
time.
wanted to bury that deal
I got
fast.
time, my friend. I got time. But if you're,
Yeah.
but if you're on that side of the equation, though, if you're on that side of the negotiation table where you have the ability to walk away, you have the thing that they want, and you have time,
Yeah, it's huge.
you're in control.
Mm.
I mean, maybe what you're identifying there, Bobby, is that Jacket Guy was, ready to wait it out. And Sasha, he's got like a photographer, he's got a cameraman there. Every move, every moment in the whole national, he's on. There's all kinds of things Sasha could be doing. So he's moving and shaking, and this guy's like kind of like slowing it down a little bit and making sure that everybody's attention is on. And I agree with you, Carlos. I think Jacket Guy's
Man.
hobby profile took.
Yeah, let's not upgrade him to man until we really find out. You really got to know. He's Jacket Guy for now. He's Jacket Guy for now.
Man.
Please continue.
Okay, but his hobby profile clicked up a few notches for sure. But I just want to put one thing in. This is what struck me about the deal. Somebody mentioned in the Reckoning that Kobe Exquisite Sasha had gotten, I think, for like 75 or 80, like just a few weeks back, and I think it ended up getting valued at like 150 or 180. So like, he was doing just fine in that moment of basically taking a 2x on a card that he'd gotten just a few weeks ago and moving it into a card that he thought might have a chance at $1 million.
Yeah, but that's why I said I'm not going to be the one to do the breakdown, the card by card breakdown, for the reason that if you're doing it properly, I talked about those Pujols cards a moment ago. If I was going to do a trade with those Pujols cards, they're all worth more than they're all worth double what I paid for them. And if the trade value was basically double what I could convert them all into one really nice card, certainly, because it's like, I don't play in the deep water, but like it's easy math. 500. This is not expensive. This I would keep no matter what anyway. I prefer that card. These one's off center, so that's not a big deal. I'll hang on to that. These are going for just shy of 200 now. 400, 500, 600. You add it all up if you really want to do something with it. Now that's what they were selling for. If you trade them, you might be able to get more than that. Well, you could probably get yourself a nice card if you put the little stack together, or you could get some cash and then buy a card you want. This is on a small scale of what this market has done.
Yep.
And so these cards I've held for some of them for as little as 6 months, some of them for maybe as long as just under a year. This is one player.
Isn't it funny, the video early on, did you see he was doing deals with other guys and they're going, oh yeah, you're going to sell it, give me 17, and then go just turn around and sell it for $2,000 over there. Or so they're on to Sasha to a certain degree.
Well, the thing is,
and they were being sarcastic about it too.
It's going to make it so. On the one hand, it gives it a situation where Jacket Guy is going to hang around longer than he might try to do the identical type of deal where it's like you don't have that extra potential, because there is utility to being a part of a deal that people are talking about, that they buzz about on the show, that ends up on social media, that gets talked about days and weeks after. There's value to that too. We call him Jacket Guy because Lord knows I'm not going to look up his name right now. But on his shirt, he was representing like a breaker or something like that. Like he had a business that he works with and his partner. So whatever that is, they got advertisement on that vlog. And at that time, 16,000 people have seen it. I'm sure it's more now.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically got to put your logo on there with extended time. That was like a 10, 12-minute stretch of the vlog.
I know.
So you got FaceTime. You got tons of FaceTime.
It's amazing. I'm going to watch the Oakland A's now because Joe's wearing the bloody shirt.
Done. Okay, quickly, I'll read a couple of these, get caught up. Sorry, guys. Okay, so Bowman's Best Pujols is a legit Main Street release PC. So Victor agrees with that. Bowman's Prospects product, totally, I understand your point. The first Bowman one. So that totally makes sense. Gotcha. Triple H would play that game, Carlos. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, so PMN's just thanking Victor. Thank you, Victor, for the clarification. Appreciate it. Hockey. Jordan 700 is old news. Way below that now, 450, which is still way higher than it was like a year ago. So if you bought it a year ago, you're fine. I'll settle for 450.
It's a theory.
I guess.
It is.
Yeah. So he can market, as Steve's saying, he can market it the right way and take advantage of it. Totally. That's exactly right. Agreed with you. And I think he's just asking a question to Victor here, so I'll leave that for Victor to answer. Okay, so actually we can touch on this one here, and Victor just says he'll research it, so that's perfect. Okay, cool. Paul, you didn't miss anything. Good news. We got a little bit sidetracked on some boring hobby news. Who cares about that? All right. Ribs. Go ahead. You got a chance to read that question, Bobby. You know the question. I can pull it up if you want. That was Paul's question.
I had ribs for dinner.
I didn't read it. I didn't read it fully. It was a rub of some sort. I didn't
I got it. Hold on. I'll find it. I have to go back a little bit. Here you go.
Speaking of I've been experimenting doing ribs, usually a dry rub, attempting sauce tonight, and disappointed results. Not a failure. Yeah, rubs are really good because it insulates the meat. The one thing about ribs, 2 hours minimum at 350, 375, 400, whatever you want to do. 2 hours will break down the muscle tissue, and it'll fall off the bone every time. It's a mathematical science. 2 to 2.5 hours, depending on the size. So that's your secret to ribs. So whatever you want to do, sauce them after. Never sauce them before. It just, or you want to do it 10 minutes before and then broil it, put it on the barbecue or what have you. But that's the secret of ribs is 2 to 2.5 hours, and they're fall off the bone every time.
I've covered a lot of segments on this live stream, and I must say I have never been prouder of the versatility of this live stream that we went from an in-depth Sasha T conversation to the secret to fall off the bone ribs. I've never been prouder.
And Jacket Guy.
And Jacket Guy. Good work, everyone. Good work.
Yep. I wonder if Jacket Guy's good at making ribs. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's like that's the versatility of this live stream in a nutshell. That right there is it.
Everything's learning, so that's the best part.
There you go. That's right.
And if you learn those simple techniques of cooking, anybody can be a good cook.
I agree with that. If you follow the basic, if you learn the principles, I think you definitely can. Here you go. Post saying was doing 4 hours at 240 was successful to this point. Okay.
Slow and low doesn't work with. It's too long. It'll no. 240 like. Well, I don't know where you get these. It's really funny if you go on the internet, you'll see 50 different, this temperature, put it at 500 for the first half hour and then put it down to 250 and let it's whatever.
Nice.
2.5 hours, you're done.
See? And that is how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Bobby Burrell on ribs. What I might have to do, Joe, I'm a little lazy to go back on these long live streams, but I kind of want to borrow clips and be like, here you go. It's like, what do you do on the live stream? Here, take this clip. What does that have to do? Like, just take it. This is the clip. Done.
Vintage hockey and ribs. Yeah.
And beer.
And beer.
I think that's a great idea, actually.
And beer.
Exactly. But I wouldn't explain it. I'd give no context whatsoever. I'd be like, this happened. It did. That's what we talked about in the live stream.
Well, yeah, I'd be willing. Work's kind of busy. I hope your work situation is going well, Carlos. But I'd be perfectly willing to at least look over the footage with you and try and make reads of it. But I trust you to do a really good job of at least trying to make sense of it. And that was my question. And maybe it was a little provocative, but I don't think it was staged. I think it was real. But there was some part of me that wondered, like, could they plan that out? Could that have been like something they orchestrated to have a dramatic situation unfold at the Dallas, which is the new big thing?
I think if you had done it in less than 2 hours, yes. I think though the fact that they were live at the show and people were just kind of hanging around watching the transaction play out, if you want to go all the way to performance art, you want to go to the depth of performance art. You know what? I love the commitment, because that's commitment. Doing a stage show for 2 hours to sell this one transaction. Kudos to that. I would love for that to be true. And I'll find out about my work situation tomorrow. Is tomorrow. But no, I will reach out, Joe. I think this breakdown, we're going to have some fun with this one. I think we'll have some, I think that's a deal. I think we make this happen, because it's only like a 10-minute clip. So we play it back. We talk about it a little bit. I think it'll be fun. I think we can have some fun with that. I'm definitely game for that.
I watched some other ones from Dallas and they were kind of boring.
No, but that's for sure. But that's the thing. Like, there's only so much. The reason I joke about the ribs talk, and the reason I joke about it is like, there's only so much you can do. You can have fun with sports card debate and the talk. You got to intersperse it with some conversation. Like, if you're a conversationalist that has one thing you can talk about, that is so boring.
And ribs is actually one of the worst things you can eat when you're dealing with cards. So
Well, I got a comment about that one too. So.
Oh, do you? I didn't.
Oh,
see
we'll
that.
get to in 2 seconds. So here's Paul's last comment on that. We'll try through 50. He's gone through a few YouTube cooking videos. Learn not to listen to. There you go. So there you go, Bobby. Your advice is being listened to. So that's good.
Tell me if it works.
Yeah.
It
Love
will.
it. Love it. I saw your comment too. John. I like that.
Hey guys, I gotta go.
Where are you
Do
going?
what you must.
See you, Justin.
It's going to invest in Charizard. I knew it.
I took care of it for him.
Thank
Okay.
you. You didn't have to ask yourself on that one, did you?
I was gonna say, like, you totally took it away from me. I was gonna do it. It was gonna be funny. Oh well, fine. Be that way. Anyway, thanks, Justin. Thanks for hanging out. Anyway, so he's saying Jack and I eat those ribs with the transaction with Sasha T. Could be. Thank you for.
He's
your
had a
contribution.
fair share of ribs.
Yeah, listen, it is what it is. What are you gonna
We
do?
all have.
Yeah. So Dave says chicken sandwich greater than ribs. Love both shockingly. That's a
Oh.
controversial take, my friend. That's a controversial take. Here's the thing. I kind of agree with you.
Chicken
I
and
kind of like
ribs.
chicken sandwiches. I kind of like chicken sandwiches myself.
Better than ribs.
I'm not really a big rib guy. Carlos Sr. is totally a rib guy. Remember, I'm
Oh.
not a foodie. Not a foodie.
It's
Chicken sandwich is basic for me. It's easy.
It's chicken. Ribs aren't foodie anything. It's just ribs. They're
Dude,
amazing.
I literally just want a sandwich. Ribs is not a sandwich. I just want a sandwich. The most boring iteration. I want just a sandwich. 2 pieces
got
of
it.
bread with the chicken in the middle.
I won't ask again. I just
I like frustrating Bobby. This makes it fun.
there's so few things you enjoy in life, and food is certainly one of them.
Food is not one of them. I don't care. My customary gruel will suffice.
Joe?
All right.
Well, Joe likes food.
Joe likes food. I know.
Joe's always eating.
Definitely ribs, Bobby. Definitely ribs.
There
There's
you go.
no question. I mean,
So
Beef
Dave,
ribs are the best.
outside of myself, this is a controversial take. I will back you on this, but it is a controversial take.
Beef ribs are really good.
There you go.
Need a little longer on those.
All right, sounds good. Yeah. So Victor's got his walking orders for some potential research. Could be interesting. It was like Lou Pinella, I think. I think it was a discussion on Lou Pinella rookie, something like that. Because there was some weirdness. I think he said like 64 and 68. There might have been like 2 cards or something like that. I caught wind of that just a little bit in the other comment. So there you go. But that's right up Victor's alley. He's definitely the guy to look into that a little deeper and see what's going on with that.
We have people now.
Exactly.
We have rib people. We have jacket guy, Sasha,
That's right. That's right.
sticker guys. Who else did you have? I forgot now.
Well,
Somebody else.
we got chicken sandwich guy. Dave's got that.
Well, Dave's got that. Yeah.
Dave's got that. That's who got it. Interspersed philosophy combined with
That's Joe.
Yeah, we got Joe for that as well. And he was nice enough to fill in the gaps with the "All the World's a Stage" quote. I needed that. Thank you, Joe. Appreciated your help on that. I figured you would fill in the gaps for me. I knew you'd be there for me. So it's very important. All right, so here we go. Do we have time for beef ribs by Bobby? Go ahead, Joe.
I mean, just getting back to the chicken sandwich thing. I mean, it all depends on even like a chicken sandwich. You're going to need condiments. You're going to need flavoring. You're going to need something that makes the sandwich good. Chicken in and of itself isn't all that exciting. So are you going mustard? Or are you going, some sort of, ketchup sauce, barbecue sauce with the chicken? And in which case, if you're going barbecue sauce, you might as well go ribs. You might as well go beef or pork.
I am so happy. This entire segment has made me so happy.
It's so funny.
It's all good. I love it. My customer group will suffice. I stand by my original statement. All right. So is the Dallas show a thing now that is quarterly national? I think it's every 2 months. I think the Dallas thing is every 2 months. It might be, but definitely like
It
Dallas
seems to happen all the time.
I will say Dallas has definitely like taken this place now as being like the go-to for people. So I think it's great. I think it's definitely the epicenter. I think it's going to be now for a lot of these folks because there's a lot of folks gathering there now and traveling to go to it. So it's become
Obviously.
and there's room. The National is once a year. right now with the market being as hot as it is, there's room for a secondary, like regular show, a little bit more regular.
Lots of them.
Yeah, that was always the issue with the expo, is that the expo was super good, but you had it twice a year. You had to wait 6 months. So you got room. You got room definitely for another one.
It was at the beginning of the season, so a lot of the new cards never came out, and then it was like May, and it's like the season's over. So if your team's out, you're really looking at baseball at that point. And I never liked that. I always thought, the end of March, I thought it would be great, but it seems that they can't get the booth, the hangar at that time because the motorcycle shows in January. It's like, really? I used to ride motorcycles for years.
Yep.
They had a motorcycle show in January. I'm going, why? California, it's in July.
So you can
whatever.
So you can dream about it.
So stupid. Anyways.
Yeah, love it. So Bless and Breaks and chimes in with the McRib is a chicken. Nothing McDonald's makes. I'm not qualified. I know they have bread stuffs. I'm not counting anything to make us a sandwich. I don't care what it is. But bless you, Bless and Breaks, for including that comment. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Paul likes chicken salad. Fair enough. So here's Dave's answer. Nashville chicken heat. That type of season needs to be a chicken batter coating. Fair enough. Thank you, Dave. As the connoisseur of chicken sandwich, I knew we could rely upon you to elaborate. And Yannick says, if you like chicken or ribs, let's all get along. If you like chicken or ribs, hit the like button. That'd be great. Thank you, Yannick. Paul giggling at leaving a rib penny on the train tracks of Carlos's show. There you go. Lovely, Paul. Thank you. Nice. But but it's what we talked about earlier. That's half the fun. We can have an in-depth conversation, jacket guy, and then talk about ribs and other stuff. And it's like, why not? Why
We
not?
didn't just talk about ribs. We learned a little bit more about ribs,
did.
how
We
to do
did.
them. So if everybody takes that to heart and does that, then get back to me. Let me know in another few weeks if they come.
I'm ready to make a hobby prediction, though.
He's ready to make. Oh, go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Ready.
Joe.
Are you guys ready?
You're right. Hobby prediction. What do you got?
Is this a Sasha?
No, it's a confluence of Sasha might get hip to it, but I wouldn't count on that. The show last night with Rodman, Martinez down there in Honduras, Jeremy did a great job.
Very good show, by the way. I do enjoy the collector-centric shows, obviously. I do. And Rodman is certainly a collector who put together a very nice collection and had some excellent cards to show.
And Jeremy had some too. I think we all realized, wow, Jeremy has a pretty banging Jordan collection too. But that's not what I want to talk about.
Go ahead.
Well, there was. I want to talk about the show. And at one point in the show, there was some discussion around the Star Company cards. It might have even been yours truly who brought it up because I was just trying to, I feel like in the history of Jordan trading cards, the Star Company cards have a place, and you can say like it's this is the rookie card or that's the rookie card. That's not even the point to me. The point is that there are some cards that are in the early-ish mid 80s of Michael Jordan. They weren't released in packs with bubblegum. They were released in the way that at that moment the basketball card world was relegated to. Topps stopped production, I believe, in 81, 82.
Yep.
And so it is what it is. And it's a pretty, to me, undervalued market when you start to consider population counts and you start to consider all the production challenges that were in play there. And yes, we can all go down our rabbit hole of fears around counterfeits, this, that, and the other. But I guess what I'm predicting is that the Star card is going, not just the 101, but all of those cards in that general family and branch of genealogy is due for a market correction in the positive.
How many do you own?
How many what?
Do you own?
I probably Jordans. I mean, I like stars. I got stars of Julius. I got stars of Dominique. I got stars of,
But do you have any Jordans?
I've got like 3 or 4. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not the 101, but I got one of the Olympic cards, the one with the USA jersey on it.
Sure. Okay.
And I got It might have a best of the best or a Court King or a really tattered Miller Lite. You guys remember that because you were there. A lot of people who are like throwing big money into the 86, 87 Fleer don't even know those cards exist. And if they start to actually, reckon the pop counts of like, how many 8s and 9s of PSA Fleers there are versus how many, 85, 86 second year star Jordans there are, they might be surprised.
Okay.
Could be worth $1 million.
And I don't have that card. I don't have the 101. I don't have any real heavy hitters of the stars. I just think don't you kind of remember like they were actually worth more than the Fleers back in the day? They were like harder to find.
I feel like there was a cup of coffee there. You would have to go back to like old guides and really just to confirm, but I feel like there was a cup of coffee there where they definitely had more of a heyday for a bit. And PMN touches on kind of the point. So I'll catch up on these comments. But one more thing, because you also touched on something about pop counts that I like. I want to touch on that too. So you hit on a couple of interesting points, but let me catch up on the comments real quick here. So Steve just says stepped away for a few minutes and obviously missed a few. Steve, we had ribs, we had chicken sandwiches. Steve,
oh yeah,
it was the moment. Like the moment had come. It was there.
You can watch it later.
It's all right. It's all right. You'll catch it on the replay. It's all good. So this is a question for you, Bobby. Do you leave the silver skin on or take it off?
I leave it on. All that taking it off doesn't matter. Makes no difference.
All right, sounds fair. So quickly, Dave's comment here. I hope Jeremy has a meet on again soon. I'm going to read this slowly for a second here. I want to know what he's been up to since we haven't seen much of him in 2021. This is a fact. I think he should be like on a podcast or a live stream or something. Like he should do a show or at least be on a show or do something.
I think he's ghosting.
Yeah, like it's slacking. Like it's terrible. Just terrible. That kid needs to get out of his basement and just like show up somewhere. It's about damn time. All right. So PMN says Star Cards will obviously kiss of death, which is the third-party graders minus Beckett won't grade them. Right now, that's still an issue because of the counterfeiting thing. Because Beckett only really touched on it because they felt like they had sufficient training at the time to be able to determine the counterfeits. That's the only reason they bothered to touch it. That's really all it was. It's just that Beckett felt like they had enough. Now, I don't see why, if there was enough demand, why PSA couldn't just borrow some of that same expertise. Like the card was issued. There are going to be some telltale signs. Learn what the counterfeits are like, figure out how to grade them, and then grade them. But to Joe's point though, Joe, I think what's going to be key is if PSA finally gets on and actually starts grading them, that will change the market for them a lot. Very quickly. For basketball, it helps that BGS at least is appreciated for basketball more so even than some of the other sports because they do hold some prestige, even though they struggle in some of the other areas. But PSA not grading them does hurt. Like it hurts a lot. And SGC I don't think touches them either, so like that hurts.
That is the kiss of death. So
absolutely. Yeah. Some Star Cards were reprinted in later years. Hard impossible to tell. It's not impossible, but it's definitely hard. Like that was a big issue.
How are they issued, Joe? Like in what?
They were like in packets. They were like in these
clear
like
cellos
bags or something like that.
Yeah, clear cello.
Oh yeah.
Hard plastic bags distributed both to
like TCMAs kind of.
There might have been a little, but this whole thing that it's like, give me a break. We're in the information age. You can tell a star. There are a lot of people out there that can tell a star reprint and a star legit card. It's not that hard. You do have to look out for trimming. Mm-hmm. You got to be able to measure, but that's the same as any card at this point. So and a lot of those star cards actually came out a little small, like out of the cut. So it's not that complicated, people. Like Beckett,
Joe, hold on.
There's plenty of issues where they identified like this is what you're looking for. It's more granular in the the logo there's an NBA logo, by the way. It's officially licensed. So it's not that complicated, and I don't understand why people keep there's more Fleer reprints and fakes and forgeries than there are stars.
T-shirt man, come on.
I'm really appreciating the sass from Joe right now. I am appreciating it. I am here for it.
Digging it.
I've had it up to here. I've had it up.
It's like this is a bridge too far for Joe. He will not stand this star slander any longer.
That's it.
It's fine if you want to say it's not the true rookie card. I get that. It's an XRC. It wasn't released in the ways that we identify. But that's not the point to me. The point is that it's still a Michael Jordan collectible of a very high level because it was pretty much the first card that was released of him.
Well, that's a big battle I get in with a lot of other people about what came first, certain cards, and
Right.
people even wanting beehives. And it's like, it's not a card. Oh, it's a card. No, it's not. It's on cardboard, but it's also a photo on cardboard that's glued on. Whatever. We run into those endless problems, and unfortunately, you can't rectify them. Even guys can't rectify them. You're in a tight position, Joe. The collectability of them still should be desirable,
Yeah.
but in a raw sense, I guess.
Yeah, I think if you're a Jordan fan, you definitely want it in the collection, though. Like, to you as a Jordan fan, that would definitely be a must to me. Like, it really would be. Like, if I was like a big time Jordan fan, I would definitely want that card. It would be desirable to me. So quickly, I'll grab these comments. So, good evening, Superbad. I think Justin left early to go. Great star cards for PSA. Yes. Yeah, so quickly, I'll touch on this one. If it wasn't complicated, PSA would grade them. We're not saying it's not complicated. We're saying there's some nuances that need to be learned. We're saying, though, that PSA should be able to acquire the knowledge base to at least give it a go. There's no reason the card is out there, and it is a valuable card. And there are people that would like that card. And the market would get a lot stronger if PSA would put in that work to grade them. Is that fair, Joe?
I mean, it's happening.
I think he's still incensed. Like this is right here. This is the line. This is the red line that Joe cannot stand. He will not allow it.
I mean, I don't even feel like I know that much, but I was there in the early 90s and the mid 90s and the late 90s and the early 2000s. And I remember PSA just got burned. They put a few in some slabs, didn't work out, and they got burned by it. And so they stepped out. A lot has changed since then. A lot has happened with our capacity to actually do research and have access to information. And I think they should. I think they should, put on their big boys pants and decide that they can grade a star card and decide whether it's authentic or not.
Right.
It's easier for them not to do it.
No, for sure. But it's one of those things.
They do millions of cards.
I get that. That is true.
They don't care.
And that's kind of been touched on here a little bit as well. I will say, though, that it is an unusual move. This has always been a weird card. That it is unusual that PSA, who doesn't mind taking money, because this would be a card that would warrant one of the higher tiers.
Twice as much money.
Yeah, so like they would be able to get the higher tier because it'd be a higher dollar value card in the expedited service. It would get pushed to the front of the line in front of those $5 base cards anyway. So it's not like it would affect the backlog. It would still be graded.
Bobby knows this, but there's not always an overlap with people's entire knowledge of the card industry. Some people are very dialed into particular areas, and if you get someone that knows their star cards, it's easy. It's like they'll be able to like boom, 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 yes, no. But it's hard to get a grader or someone that knows their business that also knows everything else, because it's a little bit of a niche market, or at least it was. And it doesn't mean people can't be trained, but as of, in certain moments, the Steve Tafts of the world were not just in plenty. They were limited. And so, it made sense for PSA, if they didn't have somebody on their team that had that expertise, for them to say, forget it.
Does not SGC take on those challenges a lot? They're
SGC
always
hasn't touched this one. SGC hasn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they refuse to.
Them too?
Yeah.
So if they're refusing to, it's like, and I understand exactly what you're saying, Joe. The people, companies, PSA is an expert in hockey. If they contact me, and they're an expert in baseball, if they contact that guy, they are only expert as close as their contacts are.
Yeah.
So anything that's new that has to be issued, they'll email me, I'll give them the information, and it goes from there. But there has to be enough, someone has to have enough clout actually to present it to them, because every guy is throwing this and that at them all the time. So I documented a few different ones. They came to me, and it was very high collector. One of their top, what are they called? The PSA, the top guys who collect whatever. And one of their star guys, and I said, yeah, okay, I'll send you the information. Sent the information. They documented it. It wasn't documented before, and they went forward with it. So you need to find somebody who's got a little bit more clout to send in that and ask them. Maybe call Nat Turner and see what happens.
Well, it'd be interesting. But here's the thing:
Like
And
really,
it was
anybody.
Mentioned, it was mentioned earlier because Nat says the star rookie is his rookie card. He did it. He did an interview on the.
But he
Basketball
also
card.
said 52 Mantle was the rookie card. So well, there you go.
Yeah, but
In an interview.
But the thing is, he did. It was the basketball. It was the basketball magazine. Joe, the name escapes me. Real 27 guy. His
Oh
basketball
yeah,
card
that guy.
magazine.
Yeah.
The interview that he did. Yeah.
Yeah. So in there is where he talked about the star card, and the thing is, owner PSA. So if he's a big fan of the card, that gives some credence and some possibility that may move some of the gears to potentially make that a possibility. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying yes or no, but I'm saying
And
that would help.
I don't want to get, I think Bobby said something that's reflective of this whole terrain, which was, these may not have been considered cards in the traditional way that we understood cards, at that time, coming out of packs and boxes and wax and, bubble gum. And for sure, there were huge amounts of piracy happening, because people were vague about what was actually out there. It invited people to let's try this, let's reproduce this, let's mess with that and make it look like this. So there was a lot of different stuff happening. But now that the smoke has cleared, you kind of know what the real legit issues are and what is just like somebody's bright idea to try and scam somebody. And so with that information, I think we should move forward and understand that at least in that moment, the legit star cards are pretty cool. Maybe they're not of the magnitude of like a traditional issue, but they're pretty cool.
So you're looking to just have it graded, or are you looking at a rookie card designation?
No, I don't want the rookie card designation. That's
you just
fine.
want it graded.
I just feel like PSA and SGC and BGS and all major graders should accept it as a card that can be understood and graded and documented.
PSA grades everything. I don't know why they wouldn't grade that. Like food issue, hand cut, whatever. They grade it all. Why would they avoid this one?
I think it was that Star themselves did, because PMN references it. Star Cards did print some cards after the fact.
Oh,
so they themselves had some cards that in theory are coming from, if not the same printers, very similar, which means you could invariably have something that you better know your stuff to be able to discern that this was the 84. Because if this is the 84, you're good to go. And BGS was the only one that felt comfortable enough with they basically reached out to their Bobby, who understood that issue very well, and they were comfortable enough in the information given that they felt that they could grade it. And they were the only ones who took that on.
JD McCarthy for hockey, if you've ever heard of those photos from mostly Detroit and what have you. Yeah. So he would print postcards and he would sell them and he would reprint them. So he was in business selling stuff for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And there's 7 print variations, and the printing got less and less, but over time we have learned to decipher the differences.
Yeah, and that is
card
the key,
stocks.
That is the key.
But you need to be one of those guys, though.
Correct.
It's tough. I'm not one of those guys. Yeah. Don't call me on that one.
The problem was that PSA didn't have that guy, so they didn't feel like they're like it's so
Fair
close.
Enough.
It's so close that we're like, because if we grade it and it turns out it's one of the bad ones, then we're taking all this endless flack and we look bad and like, we're not comfortable. Yeah. And that was basically the decision that was, it's like, we're just not comfortable. We feel like there's a good chance we're going to look stupid.
Yeah, I get it. And it's really tough. You got to be a pro at some of the stuff. And if they don't have anybody and they can't be calling all their contacts all the time, they'd have to hire somebody who really knew it. Is it worth hiring somebody? I don't know. You think so. I obviously know that, but there's 20 other issues like that, Joe.
My prognostication is that Nat will figure out a way by which they can grade confidently with the right expertise, and that they will start getting put in cases and that they will start to ascend a little bit, which I feel would be appropriate for the magnitude of them in the hobby. Not to say that it's the rookie card, just to say that it's a valuable card that shows some history in the basketball card evolution.
I give you one word of advice, Joe. Write an article on it. Do a lot of research. Get it published on Sports Collectors Daily. You'll take free content. You're supposed to pay you $25 or whatever for an article, but for free, just and send it to him. And do a little review. Do a nice little art. He'll take it. He'll put it up because he's looking for content all the time, and that's a nice start. You never know where it goes from there, and then you're a famous writer.
Well, I mean, we have been talking about this for 30 years practically, so I don't want to like say that it's breaking news to
No, but I think to Bobby's point,
Publicly.
I don't think anyone has ever written the article that is the case for the Jordan Star rookie. Like I don't think it's been written precisely that angle, because that's the case. It would be the case for the 84.
This is the
Michael
prime time for Jordan to write about something
Yes.
like that.
Agreed.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Jordan. That is right.
And you have lots of references and lots of people to support you. I don't know anything about it, so I can't support you. But I mean,
No, I mean, the thought I had though, that Bobby, you brought up the challenge with understanding maybe how that card was produced, and because it wasn't produced by a company that created itself to produce sport cards necessarily in a ongoing and really more sort of sophisticated fashion, like a Topps or a Bowman or Fleer, it had more opportunity for counterfeiters to reproduce them, because of the lower end production quality. And so that's part of the history as well. That
Carlos, was it proven that they reprinted their own stuff, like made another? I heard something about Topps doing that.
I recall
Baseball or something.
So I haven't had the chance to do a lot of scholarship on it, but I do know that I do remember reading a fair bit about that being one of the challenges. That there were some that weren't done out of some
Backdoor?
ramshackle shock. They weren't done out of some ramshackle shock. So the problem was because the star cards were never like the highest quality. They were okay. They were cards, but because of that, if you did produce some more later on, the nuances would be like the J.D. McCarthy example you did, subtle. If you're an expert and you understand the print fonts, what they were using at the time, the stock, how this should look, then to you it would be blatantly obvious. But to the layman looking at it like,
And you have to educate people through that information, and that's the one thing I like to do. But I can't turn something. I can't make PSA do anything. It has to be demanded.
yeah, I agree with that. I think that's fair. Just quickly scanning. Let me grab a couple of these. Paul, being cheeky as always, will GMA grade them? Now, he says this in jest, but let me throw something out that would be kind of interesting. And I'm not suggesting this is something that should happen, but I'll throw this out as a thought experiment. What if one of the other players, I'm thinking HGA specifically, what if they decided to try to make a name for themselves with their AI grading and gave it a go and decided to accept the star rookie Jordan?
Would they hold enough clout to do that? To really push it?
At this moment, that is a high risk, potentially high reward move.
True.
I don't know if you have the expertise to give that a go, but it would be a hell of a marketing thing to do.
Do you know the difference, Joe?
You mean
Can you
with
definitively tell the difference between a print and a reprint of your star cards?
Well, there's two things happening, Bobby. One is the issues that never existed from a true star, production model, and then there's the replications of ones that were true star models that have been attempted to be counterfeited. So there's sort of two camps, right? And so you need to know the information about, best of the best is not an actual star issue. That's somebody made that up. They reused photographs, and whether that was Star Company or someone else, I don't know. But there are a fair amount of issues that just are. It's not the case that they're replicated or counterfeited. They should never have existed in the first place. Then there are the issues with regards to like, okay, I want the 101, the Michael Jordan, XRC, and I'm going to make a card that looks like that. And that's a different question. That's spotting the more nuanced, and clarity and getting down to the granular issues of being able to reproduce a card. So, it's two different areas of knowledge. Can I I mean, I feel like I've seen somewhere it's like obvious to me, but I'm not going to say I can do it.
Is it the case like the Gretzky rookie? There's a lot of different reprints of the Gretzky rookie.
Sure.
But any dealer worth anything, or even a regular collector, well, not every regular. As soon as you feel the card stock, it's like fake in a second. In a second, you would tell. Is it not the case with this?
There's different replications. So, you know, you do have some of those. You also have some very good fakes. You know,
I think though the challenge was, and it was alluded
because
to
it
a
wasn't
little earlier,
regular top stock or something. Yeah.
But also that some of those fakes were not actually fakes; they were reproductions by Star. So it's like they made the card originally, but then later on they made a card that was like a Series 2, but it looks the same. It's not like it's labeled differently. But if you're an expert, you can be like, okay, I can tell that's a newer series because this is a little off compared to the first run where it's going to have these telltales. But you got to be really up on your super nuances. Like these are tight tolerances.
Gotcha.
Your layman just looking at it in hand, it's like, well, this was made by Star in 1985 or 1986 or 1987. So it's like, it's still the same manufacturer. It's probably the same printing press. It's not identical. There is a difference, but you got to be like,
didn't Topps have an issue in the 80s or 90s with baseball that they reprinted some more cards or something? Or I heard a story one time.
I don't recall.
Okay.
That sounds like something it could have been, but I don't recall specifically.
It's just hobby humor, rumor.
Yeah, you said it right the first time.
It's humor, yeah. It's humorous for sure because you hear a lot of stories.
Yeah. I just want to pump the brakes a tiny bit on that being entirely. I think there may have been a moment like that infected the whole perception. I don't think this was a prevalent thing that if Star
this goes back, Joe, though, to one of my key points that I've said about third-party grading. Confidence is the thing. So it doesn't matter if they made 10 of them in the entire history of the universe, and every other Star Jordan rookie is fine. The existence of 10, if somebody finds out about it and it gets around, everybody wonders if theirs is one of the 10 because they don't know that there are 10. I'm just picking a small number to convey my point. It's the confidence thing. It's the psychological aspect of this.
Well, you got to find an inside man, Joe, for your article. Not that you would out him or anything, but somebody who worked there, hearsay, and report it that way. That's how I figured out a lot of stuff. I knew the guy who drove down to pick up the 54 Topps hockey at the train station. I talked to him on the phone. He couldn't lie about that because he told me everything I needed to know. And you need to find somebody that kind of worked there or distributed and you need a little insight just for your own personal, and then write the story. Maybe not use them, but at least you'll have some point of reference that it's a bogus. Some are bogus and some are not, or they're all, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I still do fall back to my baseline though, that I do think the reality that Nat Turner has publicly pushed the Star card, I think is probably the biggest move in favor of kind of what you're looking for, Joe. The fact that the guy believes in the card and he owns the company that could immediately give legitimacy to the card if they find a way to get it in holders where they're comfortable, that would be huge.
Reach out to him.
Well, I'll reach out to Nat. I'm sure he'd like a check in with Joe Perot from Santa Cruz. But
don't we all?
The thing we haven't talked about was the actual aesthetic. So let's just take off the whole legitimacy thing off the table. There's still an issue of, okay, well, the 86, 87, Jordan's dunking. He's, it's a more glamorous card, right? And it's
back in 2 seconds, guys.
There's elements with the whole 90 inserts, Jordan phenomenon, that makes those cards really interesting. It's true that the Star cards are kind of primitive. The stock is primitive. The photography is a little bit just basic meat and potatoes. Like that's a picture of them. Yep.
So it's like a food issue almost ish.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm more interested in that conversation, to be honest. Like, okay, let's calibrate the pop counts that we know and the actual like desirability of the card. and not get caught up in is it the rookie card, is it not? Like, let's just look at it on its own merits, and if we can discern, if we can check off the box that it's legit, this is when we talk about star company cards, which we know existed, this is one of those. Then the conversation can unfold of like,
then it can open up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. You know, I fought a lot to get many things documented. And not everything gets the same recognition as others. When you get into the JD McCarthy's, I won't touch them with a 10-foot pole because I don't have enough time in my life to really get into buying them all, sitting down. Because you have to understand, I've almost owned everything in my books just to feel it, touch it, scan it, whatever you had to do. So it took that 20 years to do all that. And that time and money investment, it's, for some things you'll do it for, but other things you just say, oh, I can't. So I have a JD McCarthy guy. I got a guy who knows, but he knows the whole story behind it. And the guy was around actually even telling that story, which is kind of funny. So you get to know that, how old is that? Yeah, it's a vintage picture from, 1950 something, but he made it up until 75. So how rare is it? Yeah. And when you're talking about condition, well, if it's issued in the 50s and then the 70s, it's like the trim card Beckett PSA thing. Here we go again, right? Or sheet cut, sorry. Mm-hmm. We get into that argument or disagreement.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I guess I the point I was sort of trying to make is that I'm not necessarily saying that these cards are, platinum portrait or a jambalaya or, titanium. I mean, the cards that Jeremy and Coleman were pulling out last night, I mean, those cards are like amazing specimens of, the cutting edge industry that was developing in the 90s. But they are, images of Jordan in a very early time, and other players too. I mean, Hakeem at the time, not Hakeem Olajuwon, John Stockton, Dominique. There were some pretty, important NBA players in that time that, though, if you want the most contemporary moment of them playing basketball and you're not concerned about the bells and whistles of like mosaic looking things or die cuts, it's like, it's a card. It's a nice piece of paper. As Carlos would say, I'm not going to say it's more than a piece of paper. It's still just a piece of paper or a little cardboard. It's a nice little card, but I think it deserves at least to be on the same playing field.
I think also from a historical perspective for basketball, there is something to be said for those were the cards that existed in that gap. Because the reason the 86 Fleer is so important is because Jordan didn't start playing in 1986, but there was not a lot. You're missing. There's a gap. You're going to have Luka Doncic's entire career is going to be documented in cardboard, however long that is. You will get a chance, if you wish, to collect his entire NBA career. LeBron's entire NBA career is chronicled in cardboard. Michael Jordan is the biggest name in basketball. You don't have a 1984 from anybody other than Star. That's it. There's no tops. There's no Fleer.
Basketball got ripped off over the years. So yeah, I don't even know why they discontinued and they never came back. It was when Topps stopped doing hockey, they stopped doing basketball and they went to stickers in 82 and 83. And basketball, well, they brought hockey back, no problem, but why not basketball?
Basketball struggled in the 80s though. Like
we struggled in hockey in the 80s.
Sure. But I'm saying like the fact you still had in the early 80s, you had the tape delay NBA finals. Like when I say struggle, like it's like we won't even show your championship in real live.
True.
Yeah. So that's problematic. And that's indicative. And the fact that the 86 Fleer, as vaunted as a set as it is today, it was sitting there rotting. Nobody wanted it. So it's like it's testament to like it's just there. It was there by the case flowed. You could have taken it by the pallet and they would have given it to you.
Stop. Yeah. Oh, stop. Don't.
It was.
But it was though. That's part of the narrative. That's part of the story of that set.
Kids of Gretzky, Ricky, like they were all out there at one time.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. So I apologize, guys. I knew I was going to get to. I wanted to have this conversation because I thought it was very interesting. And when we get Joe fired up, like I'm not stopping that guy. We're gonna let it roll. We're gonna let it go. All right, let me grab a couple of these comments here real quick. So Jim Oz here mentioned the lucite brick holders that we talked about a little earlier. It really comes down to the compression thing. Was there anything else that you want to add to that, Bobby? It's because for me, it's kind of the fact that it gets compressed, which is problematic for these cards.
Yeah, it squeezes at the corner. It makes impressions. Well, there's 4 screws, so it'll etch in there, but it won't go evenly across, unfortunately. The thicker ones actually are better. If those are the thin ones, Joe. But if you have those ones that are about an inch thick, they tend to are a little more even, but then some stick to it.
And sometimes sometimes you get paper loss when you try to open it, because if the compression's enough, there's paper loss because you've
a bit of humidity or something, you're toast. Yeah,
you're still we joked about it a little earlier, but at the end of the day, you're talking about pieces of cardboard. They are humidity is not cardboard's. There's a reason why. You want to go ask the Library of Congress. There is a page on the Library of Congress where they talk about like paper preservation. And at the Library of Congress, papers that they care about are kept cool at a certain temperature, dry. All these conditions have to be a certain way. Pieces of cardboard are pretty resilient, but they're not infallible. There's a lot of things that can do them in.
Especially the oils that are in the plastic. They'll leach through. Not the best plastic in the world at that time. Or was it lucite? Is it lucite or plastic?
I think lucite was the big thick brick ones. I think they were lucite. I believe. I could be mistaken, but I believe they were. So quickly, Superbad's comment from a little earlier. So I apologize. Took us a little while to get back to it. So a lot of reprints of the Steph Curry Topps rookie. I have seen that a little bit. There's been certain issues that have a little bit of problems with them. With modern ones, it tends to be less problematic usually, but there have definitely been cases for sure. I think there were some rumors that 89 Topps Griffey was printed. Yeah, that rumor has existed for a long time.
That's the one. Okay, I think
the 89 Upper Deck Griffey. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, listen, I'm gonna squash that rumor. I promise you that out of the boxes you see behind Bobby, only half of them are full of 89 Upper Deck Griffies. Only half.
Only half.
So
you only knew what was in there.
That's nonsense. Nonsense. That rumor has persisted though for a long time. It really has.
That's the one I heard. That's what I heard. Something like that. Yeah.
So PMN says, my original point is the Stars card aren't cool, is that the Stars card aren't cool, and that the early Star Jordan could be argued to be rookie. It's an authenticity issue that has hampered their growth. Yes, no, totally, we agree. We agree 100%. If we knew definitively, if we could get the grading companies to be like, all right, guys, we're good. These are the good ones. They're in the holders. We're done. A lot of this controversy would go away. Now, of course, there'd be some people who would argue the rookie thing and not rookie thing, but it's like, but if you put it in the holder, even if the holder just says authentic, and you're comfortable that it's been authenticated, for a lot of collectors, that's enough to make them like, you know what? Great. At least I can collect the card that I want. Because for them, they just want that security of being like, there's so much mystery about like, is this card okay? Are we sure? Is that just the knowledge that it's like, okay, at least if we're authenticated and we feel comfortable that that's good, been done correctly, that's enough. There are some collectors who would happily buy it. What do you got there, Joe?
Sold a card, so I'm just getting it packaged up.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Star rookie.
No. I'm not selling those. That's
the fastest turnaround time on. It's like, guys, I just spent the last hour pumping this thing. It's time to sell.
The show,
the buy it nows are going off. Bing, bing, bing on eBay. Yeah, sure, Joe.
It's not me. I'm telling you. I'll send it to you too, Bobby. I sent it to you, Carlos. It's Victory Investments.
The link for the thing, right?
Yeah, check it out. I mean, it's worth checking out. It's
for sure. Like I don't mind checking out something if somebody puts together a little informational thing. The wraps I care less about, but if you got some informational piece, I'll take it.
I like information stuff.
Yeah. So here, Paul says, I'm convinced there's a warehouse at the end of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark full of 89 Upper Deck. Yes, probably. So, I mean, I know BGS would take a year to grade it, but do they still grade Star Cards in 2020? That's a great question. I genuinely don't know. I don't know what their current policy is on those cards. I don't see why not. They have done it up until this point, but I haven't seen any updates on that piece. They definitely did grade them for quite a while, so I would assume they still do. Because that was kind of their thing that they did that's made them different than the other graders. So that's why I joked about, I said tongue-in-cheek about the HGA, but it would be a bold statement to take it on because it is a big player, and if you're the one willing to give it a go.
Well, SGC did a lot of stuff that other companies wouldn't do, so it did drive business their way. And then Beckett, obviously, with the sheet cut cards, so that drove business their way, and PSA went their way, and So there's a little something and everything for everybody for grading companies now with HGC and CSG. Is it? I don't know what they're going
I
to do.
think CSG. I think that's right. I think that's C. I always
Hard to get the acronym.
honestly I keep getting the letters flipped. So like for me, I think it is CSG. I believe that is correct. But I do keep getting the letters flipped around a lot. It
Yeah.
happens to me quite a bit.
It's hard to keep track of for sure.
Yeah, like it feels like we do have a lot of acronyms at this stage, and it's like, okay, guys, like I can
I
only do.
feel like the Village people.
Exactly. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. So I caught up on the chat, which is perfect. What I'm gonna say, folks, is Joe, Bobby, and myself, we're just gonna sit here and chat and hang out. But if there's anything you guys want to chat about, feel free to throw it in there. I am warning everybody. I'm gonna say 50 minutes, and I'm cutting it off.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep track of that. I will be very stringent on this one today. But like I said, there's still time if there's something you want to put in there. Or if you want to join in, the link is still there, but your time is running out. We'll get, don't make me get Ken Golden's old buddy on here and to put the time down clock and be like, you have to act now.
West there?
You kind of do. You kind of do. The time is running. I wish I could put a countdown timer on this. I got to get StreamYard on this. That'd be amazing. Be kind of fun if I could do that.
Final countdown. Do-do-do-do.
I like that song. I'm a fan.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so here we go.
It's 80s.
Also, so this is a new name. Cool. So Dominic Gabriel 1 says top alternate to sports cards at the moment. I guess alternate collectible maybe or something like that.
Oh,
That's kind of an interesting one.
open-ended.
But I like open-ended questions. It does leave a little room. It does leave a little room to discuss. Go ahead, Bobby. Butcher knives.
Nope.
Kitchen utensils.
Nope.
Knickknacks.
That's okay. Yeah, don't get me going. My knickknacks are good enough for now.
Anything in particular you like? Just the knickknacks in general? Anything that catches your fancy?
Everything and anything. It's the pursuit of rarity. It's not the pursuit of, and sort of like other people in the newer collecting, they like the short-numbered cards. And I like obscure stuff, like star cards and stuff. No, I do like the stuff like that, though, Joe. And I like figuring it out and documenting things. But I do research on the back company and try to call the people who work there, and I've done all that research. So, you can only do as much as you can. But I've been working on a huge project. I can't even get going. I'm still on 88 now. Sorry, in the Topsail Peachy. So working on a big project on the 55 Parkhurst.
Look at you. Sounds
Yeah,
fair.
we're
So I'll
talking.
touch on this one in a second here. Joe, is there anything alternate to sports cards? Anything that catches your eye or interest?
I mean, my interest personally, I'm not saying it's like everyone's interest, but I like ticket stubs. I like
Sure.
game used, events, especially if I was there. It commemorates a memory for myself. But I've got a few other ones that I've picked up through the years. I like NBA All-Star Game tickets.
Mhm.
That's they have pretty glamorous looking tickets too. So there's the stock of the ticket and the kind of colors. Some graphic designer that went to Vassar did a good job on that, and so they can be kind of collectible.
Do you like anything that PSA doesn't grade?
Star cards.
Well done.
I assume that's what you were going with it, so I thought I would get.
No.
You laid it up, and I might as well just finish it with the tomahawk dunk.
I was doing the PSA. It's all okay.
I heard that was something a little more three-dimensional, Bobby, which I know you get into more of the actual. There's elements of memorabilia that are not so flat.
Display items more so, yes.
Yep. So real quick, guys, give me 1 second here. Yep. All right. I see what I needed to see. Go ahead, Steve. How's it going? I just needed to know. Steve knew the drill. I didn't even have to say it. He was ready to
Well,
go.
I was, Joe was talking, and I didn't want you to have to interrupt him to give me the.
Sounds good. No, you know what? It's like I'm enjoying this live stream, and we're gonna hang out, and we're gonna have some fun. But it was gonna be a shtick. We were gonna do it. It was gonna be the third time. It's like, you took this away from me, Justin. You took this away from me.
Yeah, that was good.
I think he's starting to learn. I'm starting to think he's starting to pick up on this. I think he's sensing a pattern.
Can't pee on the carpet all the time. So
There you go. So how's it going, Steve?
No, doing good, doing good. Since I know that we have a set time, I figured
we're gonna be a little tight.
I figured I could at least come hang out for a little bit,
Yeah.
chit chat with you guys because it's always enjoyable. So
Yeah. I tried to make clear right at the beginning. It's like, no, I am gonna be militant on this one. So
As-
you get to
as
see
you
the new
should.
background. You get to see the new background. Enjoy. There you go.
I love it. Looks
It's
great.
I literally did hurt my back yesterday moving these desks, like moving this junk around. I was like, oh my god. It's unfortunately the desk that this was made was like an old hotel desk, and they actually is like this dense wood that is like meant to be like this is actually isn't supposed to be moved ever.
Like when they used solid oak back then.
Yeah,
right?
they did. Yeah, they did. So I was like, okay, well this is unfortunate.
I graduated as a woodworker by trade.
So does that mean next time we instead of ribs we get to talk about woodworking? Is
You
that
can
the
talk
next
about the wood
option?
you can burn to cook those ribs. How's that?
Okay. Nice. There's a callback.
There you go.
Sounds good. All right. So not specifically. So actually, I'll pose the same question to you, Steve. Is there anything other than obviously sports cars are a little tricky to come by? There's some stuff you did reference that like some of the ones, but you like stuff other than sports cars. You got stuff in the office display.
Yeah.
Part of doing this is that I can at least have stuff in the background. So I got that, and then I got the shelf here going on with some stuff going on there. It's a little more interesting than just looking at my one banner. So
Hmm. Certainly.
well, we all kind of got used to the banner. So I mean, at the same time,
I liked it too. But I was like, at a certain point, I was like, it's like this is a little bit more interesting for me too. And I was like, I was going to get around to it eventually, and then it creates this space in the middle where I can record YouTube videos and stuff. So it gives me a little bit to work with.
I do like the new view. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think everybody agrees that it adds additional depth to what your office looks like, though, too. Because I know in some of your earlier videos, you've had different views or points of view that you can see some of it. But it's one thing to talk about it, but it's also one thing to see it.
Dave's favorite video, I literally took it sitting directly in front of that. Because it's literally an upward shot of me because there was a table right here, and I literally set up the laptop and set up the camera and I was pointing it upward, and it was directly to this. So that was the one where I had fun with Baseball Collector Mike was directly.
Yep.
So it's like this has been here the whole time. I just have to tilt the camera. But I did in that video make one point that this basically proves. Whereas because a couple of folks are like, oh, I like the new studio. It's like it's not the new studio.
Yeah.
It is the same old studio. All I did was move the camera. But what I said in that video was that you don't know when you're seeing the box, you don't know what the reality is.
Exactly.
This could have been me just gimmicking a shot. And it's like, oh, you did all that stuff and just made up this whole studio. This has literally been here the whole time.
And why did you choose the other view opposed to this?
This is where the
Purview.
desk originally started. This is where the desk had been for the longest time. I just had it there. This is actually the way this condo is built. This used to be the dining room. I turned it into the office, and then there's a mini fridge right there, and then that's a 2013 Jay's season.
And now we get to see you go for the beer.
Well, the beer is kept in the main refrigerator. This is the side. This is where the snacks go.
Gotcha.
If I need to get snacks, this is where it goes.
Simple snacks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be smarter though, Carlos, to have your beer in there for the evening at least, so you don't have to?
It's one of those things where I may do so in the front a little bit, but I've got a couple of those really tall cans, and the shelf heights are a little bit off on this one. I'm not a fan.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not a fan. They need to do a better job and make them a little more adjustable, and then it would work a little bit better. I don't like to lay it on its side. Like, no, stand it up properly.
No, makes sense.
It tastes different, yeah.
No worries. So, Joe, if you do have to drop off, by all means, feel free. But thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you coming in.
I feel bad. I'm guessing I'm running Joe off. I jump on. Joe's got to go. Jeez.
Well, he's got to go. He's got to go write the Star article. This is like now that he's inspired.
He went to get food.
Yeah, I will. I'll ping you, Joe. Though, I'm serious. We're gonna do this breakdown. We're gonna have a little fun with it. We'll make it happen. We'll schedule it.
That'll be a good one.
You have to unmute yourself, Joe.
There's a lot to break down. I'm looking forward to it, and you guys have a good night. No, I'll still be listening. I got to just dial in a few things for Monday. You know how it is.
No worries.
Well,
I
understood.
understand those feels. That's part of the scheduling is because of it. That's why I started the 15 minutes earlier. Like let's get this thing started a little earlier just to make sure we're good.
Okay, take care, guys.
See you, Joe.
Take it easy, Joe.
All right, so I'll quickly touch on some of these comments real fast here. Can one of you hockey guys compare Guy Lafleur to a more modern hockey player? Interesting. I'm going to say, Bobby, take a second to think about that. Let me quickly zip through a couple of these. I didn't really get to watch Guy Lafleur too much in his heyday. But I think you can probably give a little insight to this. But yeah, hang tight for 2 seconds. I'll read through these, and then we'll touch on that. I wonder if we'll have tickets in a couple of years. Probably not. I'll be honest, it'll go digital. It's just so much more convenient to scan the little thing, and probably it's on your phone. I'll be honest, it's probably going to go to that. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate that. I was thinking that it would be a little nicer to have a little better background for some of the streams and stuff for folks. They could try to pick out in the distance what the stuff is. Someday I'll point it out, but for now we'll just leave it like that. Is the Ohtani run legit, or are we just waiting for another? At the moment, we're waiting for another injury. I'm just being honest. I'm not being a pessimist here. He's just gotten hurt every single time so far. So it's like until he goes through a full season as a pitcher and a hitter without getting hurt, we're just going to assume he's going to get hurt until he proves otherwise. I think that's fair. And at the moment, that's the scary thing with him. The potential is there for him to do very well. Being a full-time pitcher who can also hit is phenomenal. But there's a reason it hasn't been done in a long time. It's a struggle. It's a struggle, especially at the major league level. Nobody's done it. When will you separate the jacket guy and Sasha T? Soon. We'll work on it. Like I said, I'll reach out to Joe. We'll schedule something because I think Joe would be a really good foil to have for that, and we'll have some fun with it. Because it's only like a 10-minute video. It's not like it's hours long. It's like a 10-minute clip. And there's enough there, though, that we can talk about between Jacket Guy and Sasha T and some of the intricacies of that. The art of the deal, so to speak. We can have a little fun with that.
That would be good.
Yeah, and Paul's got Paul's wavelength isn't the same as mine. He's really hoping that Carlos had a feng shui consultation. I joked with Carlos Sr. I said, "Dude, I got to fix the feng shui around here because I'm just gonna adjust this thing." And he's like, "Shut up." So Paul knows he's already at it. My chi is flowing very well, Paul. Thank you. I appreciate your caring about the feng shui.
Well, look at Steve's new view.
Yeah, that's right. That's Steve's office there.
Wow.
Yep. Well, the wife was in here for about 6 months. This was always the office. Mm-hmm. And when I worked from home, this is where I was. The only difference is instead of the desk, it's the same table that I had in the bedroom where I was doing all my sorting, because the desk is actually has now been called the studio for my kiddo when their artistic stuff.
Well, certainly a step up from the kitchen table.
It is. It's nice to be back in here because
I'm at the earlier kitchen table.
Well, I get less interruptions. I don't have to worry about the background noise of the TV. Yeah. Things along those lines. The dogs may come in from time to time because they don't always close the door because, they have to find out what's going on. But before you go back to Bobby and the question, and you were talking about the non-sports type of stuff, that right there actually is new, though.
Nice. It's a nice shelf.
It's okay. So
curio.
It is a curio cabinet. It's new to my house. It's not new in a sense that I just got it. I'll make a long story short. I bought that for my mother. Geez, probably 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And some may or may not know, I lost my mom a year ago this past September. And my stepdad was itching to get other things out of the house. And, everybody was like, "Oh, I don't want it." I'm like, "Oh, hell no. I spent like $350 on this damn thing as a gift from my mother. Mm-hmm. It's coming home."
Right.
I can find use for it.
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. Retroactive condolences, Steve, but no, that makes a lot of sense. In this case, it's yours. It's yours.
I have one other one too. I have a corner one too that I bought her at the same time I bought mine, that now I got to find a place to put that one.
Yeah. I think though for collectors who do like to have, because it's one of those things, I try not to overly clutter, because Jeff here asked the question about this. It is an IKEA one. I've had this for a while. My younger brother actually has a couple of these because he likes to collect the, he's a comic book guy and stuff like that. So he likes to have the figurines and stuff like that. So he uses a lot of these, but you can use these for cards. So I'll go into detail at some point. I'll do a video where I'll zoom in and it'll be a little better, but there's like bobbleheads up there. So there's mostly Medanos there, but in the little box, you can sort of see it. Like I said, I'll zoom in later in the video. But there is a Gordie Howe bobblehead that was available at the expo that is an autographed Gordie Howe bobblehead. Bobby knows what I'm talking about. So that is that one. That is in the box. It is a Gordie Howe autographed bobblehead. And like I said, I'll zoom in at some point. There are some Modano cards there in that one. More bobbleheads down here, mostly Toronto Blue Jays. And at the bottom, there's a couple more. And a Vin Scully bobblehead that my buddy got in Los Angeles when he went to a Dodger game. So that's at the bottom. And then at the top, you've got a Coke Zero can, because they had like a limited edition can that they did for a little while. And I like to drink my Coke Zeros. I just thought it was hilarious. I think it was a Blue Jays can, though. Like they actually had like a Jays can. So it is sports related. And then here, I believe, I have to remember that one. That's some Sleeman. So that's Guelph, where I went to university. And this is a 50th anniversary Guelph Griffins Golden can. They actually had a limited edition thing from Wellington's, a local brewery. And I was like, wait. Okay, so on the one hand, Wellington's is trash. But on the other hand, I enjoy my alma mater. This is more of an American thing than a Canadian thing, but I actually really appreciate my alma mater. So it's like, all right, I'm going to get the stupid thing, and hopefully I don't die and burst into flames drinking this beer. Turns out it's the only good beer they've ever made. Oh. But there was a one-time limited edition. I'm like, this is a good beer. Make more of that. Idiots. So anyway, so there it is. And then you've got a couple of the McFarlane figures, including some football ones, actually. You got a Favre and an Aaron Rodgers up there. So that is one of the case.
I mean, sorry, go ahead, Bobby.
No, I'm not doing anything.
I was just going to say I've got both versions of the Terrell Davis barbecue sauce in here.
Nice.
You ever going to use it?
So
we got some ribs to.
Right now, it's a collectible. I have used it, and I have to admit, it is damn good. Both of them are damn good. The only issue is for whatever reason they stopped selling it online. You used to be able to buy it by the case online, and for years I had a card collecting buddy through YouTube who lived in Colorado, and come springtime, it was like an annual thing. I got a few bottles of Terrell Davis barbecue sauce to cook with, but at the same time, since it's Terrell Davis and it's as you can see from my room, it's not all about the cards. Mm-hmm. Why not throw them, in the curio cabinet? I used to have the shelf over here, but I've got like a keepsake ornament from the Broncos. I've got some of the jumbos. I've got my mini helmet, action flats, an old school Denver Broncos mini helmet.
See, I appreciate that you brought out the mini helmet. So Steve's got the Denver mini helmet. Totally makes sense. Bobby brought out his San Francisco 49ers mini helmet again. All right, you know what? I'm going to grab a mini helmet. It's actually directly behind my monitor. I'm going to grab it. It's the most obscure, though, of the ones that we're talking about so far.
I'm interested to see where this is going to go.
Oh, there we go.
Las Vegas Outlaws XFL mini helmet. So there you go.
I'm about Vegas, eh?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I like the random Vegas teams, and the original XFL made me chuckle, and I was able to get this for like $10. I was like, I'm in. I'll take it.
Goodwill, $4.99, or Salvation Army kind of shop.
Yep. And also, I included Paul's comment here. Paul is, of course, concerned about the feng shui for Steve. I think he's okay. But the important question is, when your wife took over the office, how often was she wearing the Bronco helmet? Be honest with me.
Never.
That you know of.
Yeah, that's right.
It turns out.
So
that barbecue sauce has been refilled.
It turns out.
No. So I've got the remake back here of the foam head that was made famous by Shannon Sharp in their 90s Super Bowl run.
Right.
I've got the original one over here that, of course, you can't see, that has seen its better days. So it has to sit the right way because it's literally like falling apart on the backside because I wore the shit out of it.
So actually, you know what? I'll quickly add one quick thing. I don't collect them anymore because that's why I'm to be fair. Like today I decided to crack out the Blue Jays. Like this is like the practice jerseys because I haven't actually worn a jersey on stream like ever. But I got a bunch of these for different Jays iterations of the team. But one that I used to collect was the old New Era hats. And I had a whole stack of them, different kinds and everything. The problem is, I'll be honest, the New Era caps, the fabric they used was really weak. Like it would not hold its form after a while. especially if you actually wore it in weather. Heaven forbid, Canada, we have inclement weather. If it ever rains, good luck to you. But the old ones, like, they would not hold their form. They would like warp and disintegrate. And I had a whole stack of them that I was like, okay, I got to throw these damn things out because it's like they're junk at this point. I can't. But I had a couple of the old iterations of it. I haven't refilled the new ones. I do have a couple of newer ones that are fine. They're still fairly new. But and the new material I think is a little bit better. But I used to collect those Pro-Fit hats. Expensive damn things now though. Like,
Yeah,
those
they
things
are.
expensive. I like them, but they're expensive.
Yeah, and Bobby, correct me if I'm wrong. The 49ers one you found is yours also autographed?
No.
So it's just
a regular ride out.
gotcha.
Yeah, nothing special.
Yeah, I only have one that's not autographed in my case, but it's the old school Broncos helmet logo that was given to me by one of my buddies.
Nice.
But the two helmets that I have in there that are autographed, of course, one is Terrell Davis. I won that in a custom group break,
Nice.
which was, it was one of the case hits, which was really cool. And then one of my buddies sent me Garrett Gilbert, ex-quarterback from the University of Texas. So I have that down here at the bottom.
You mean starting quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? That guy?
No. And then, of course, I have my two Bowman Reserve helmets
Okay.
over here.
Sounds right.
Soward and Chris Redmond.
So you
Big
have
winners.
trinkets too. There you go.
The reason why I thought the question was good is that, like, most of the time collectors, especially if they're fan of teams and stuff, they collect other stuff. Part of the rationale, like I said, part of the rationale for the angles, it would make it a little more interesting visually. There's a bunch of stuff going back there. I listed off the thing, but like I said, when you see it a little closer, you'll get a better view of like what's going on there. But like, yeah, you accumulate stuff over time. You accumulate trinkets and things like that. If you're a fan of your teams, or even the random Las Vegas thing, the Las Vegas thing plays into that because I do enjoy those random Las Vegas teams. I have a Las Vegas Outlaws jersey, and I bought it on eBay literally for $10. Because I got it years later, and like the league is defunct, the original iteration and the second.
Well, of course,
iteration.
yeah.
Yeah.
And from the second edition, I have an XFL Dallas mug because I thought it was hilarious. I was like, "What? If they had had a Vegas team, I would have gotten that one." But they had the Dallas mug. I was like, "Fine, I'll play into the star side of it. Why not?"
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So I was like,
and
"I'll go with it."
And most people don't know, but above the two 16x20s on this side, there's a display case up there.
Yep, at the top you can kind of see that one. Yeah.
That's 4 collectible knives that have different eagle heads on them, as in like the bird, not the team. And then I have a Bowie knife that's painted and everything. But I also collect eagles, and
Okay.
a lot of people have no idea that I collect eagles. So
Philadelphia Eagles?
no, eagles, the animal.
The bird. Well, Carlos Senior Carlos Senior likes dragons. He likes getting like those figurine, like the crystal figurine with like dragons on. He really likes the dragon motif, both the Chinese dragon and like a traditional dragon. He likes both because to him they're interesting. So he doesn't collect anything except for those little figurines of the dragons. Sometimes,
Everybody collects something. So
yeah, like for him it's interesting.
there's a pencil case and ruler,
Okay, that's cool.
eraser. You got Gretzky. Who's the people there?
You got Lemieux, you got Gretzky, you got Waugh. I think Wendell Clark, Brett Hall, and Messier.
Yep. Frigate Bell.
Nice, very nice.
It's still sealed in the original package from, I don't know, early 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe late 80s.
So-
No,
so-
early 90s.
Nice. So I'll touch on a couple of these here. So I know Steve already answered that question for himself. Now, question: original XFL as well?
I watched both iterations.
Okay. I watched every single game of the original XFL that was available on TV. I was like one of the few that actually did watch them all.
No, I didn't go that. I
I
far,
got
Carlos.
such a kick out of the stupidity of it. Like to me, it was hysterical. I appreciated it. I was like, this is like performance art.
He hate me.
I refuse to call it sport. I'll call it performance art. This is an attempt of a sport. That's why I got a kick out of it. And then when they brought it back, I was like, really? This is the hill you want to die on again?
Yep.
This
Tommy,
is the hill
Tommy Maddox, and he hate me.
The $1 million game, Steve. You got to win the $1 million game.
Yep. Yep.
And I was like, oh my goodness. And I did watch the second one because I was like, oh, like almost 20 years later that you're going to do this again. Okay, fine, sure.
Well, it was something to watch though too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't mind a secondary football league. That doesn't bother me. Like, I don't mind it. I even watched the short-lived UFL, if you can remember that thing. They had it on HDNet.
no,
The
I don't
UFL.
remember that one.
They had
US. Oh yeah,
the
I remember
no,
that.
No, the UFL, not the USFL. This is the UFL, the United Football League.
I was going to say.
What they do with the
HDNet
S?
HDNet had this. Like, this was on HDNet, and they had, like, I want to say Las Vegas Locos or like a bunch of dumb team names. I was like, you are so random. I love these weird off-brand football leagues. They amuse me. Even the AAF, the AF, loved it. Loved it. So stupid, but I love it.
I watched a little bit of the indoor,
Yep.
football league. That was interesting. An interesting concept.
Yeah. That's why I say, like, I like to see the idea attempted. There is room for a real, legitimate secondary professional league. Like, the way that football is, you don't have a minor league system. And you totally could use one. Like, there's some players who need that additional seasoning who could be good if they could get games and reps in a professional level with real coaches doing that. But the NFL is going to have to back it. It's the only way. They're
What
going to
about
have to be like,
colleges?
this is our. The thing though is college. Like, if you're a player there, the maximum you get is about 4 or 5 years, and you're still in like your early 20s. If you're like, you've got the physical talent, but we need to refine your skills a little bit. And maybe the college, maybe you work for like a second or third tier college, and they weren't up to the job, but you
Sure.
get professional coaches to work with you on the technique. Maybe there's potential in you. That's normally where minor league baseball thrives. You can have some of these guys that, like, you just need a little more time. If we can work with you, you're still working against professional pitchers who are trying to get to the major leagues. So
Yeah, it's
they're
weird,
trying to
eh?
do their job.
Well, in college ball, the game is still different though too.
Very much so. That's why Tim Tebow was a college football god, but like an average NFL quarterback at best on a good day.
I was going to say
I'm
he
saying
didn't
on a
have
good day with generosity.
He doesn't even deserve that designation. The guy was horrible. He
No,
can't.
I get
he
it.
can't
Right.
throw.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, no, I agree with you. This was always my joke with the Tim Tebow because, look, I love to watch the Skip Bayless shtick where he would just go after Tebow. And I'm like, look, if Tim Tebow spent more time praying for talent, he might be good. He needs some help. Spend some time Tebowing for talent because it didn't happen.
Well, and what's interesting at least from my perspective as a Denver fan, you know, the overtime win against Pittsburgh. Granted, yes, he did complete the pass, but it's not like it was, you know, a 60-yard bomb type situation. It was, you know, an 8-yard slant, and Demaryius Thomas took it to the whole,
To the house, yeah.
it's like, and everybody was like, oh, yes, we found our quarterback. And I'm like, guys, have you watched any of the games that they played? There's times in which he wouldn't be within 5 yards of the receiver.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about falling short. I'm not talking overthrows. I'm talking falling short.
Yeah. But I've been told, Steve, that the result is the only thing that matters, and they won a playoff game.
I know.
He Brady'd that throw.
You're right.
As I sip my drink slowly.
Uh,
We're not going there tonight. I just
No,
needed
we're
my
not.
one shot. I just needed
No,
one. I
we're
just
not.
needed one. I'm good. I'm done. I promise I'm done. I promise I'm
You're welcome. I opened the door for your opportunity.
I was sitting here. I was like, "Oh, Steve." I was like, "It's like there's a reason I like you." It's like you don't even realize. It's like that's all I needed.
The
You were
night
my
is
John
complete.
Stockton. You were my John Stockton. You put it where I needed it.
Yep.
Nicely done. Nicely.
Dishing up the assist, which
Yep.
you know what I can do. I can do that as often as I need to.
That's right. Okay, so quickly, I'll touch on Dominic's comments since he asked here. NBA Top Shot or Star Stock? I think Top Shot is fascinating. Not for me, not my interest. Star Stock, to be honest, isn't my interest either. But if I chose between one and the other, at least Star Stock is cards. It is a market. If you like day trading cards, Star Stock is cool. If you like the idea of the technology, Top Shot is cool. But I think it's going to take time for the concept to really be defined. I think a lot of the folks on Top Shot are looking for a buck. And the problem is that's a really bad basis upon which to build a market. But I think the concept has a future. I don't know if Top Shot specifically will have that future. But NFTs, yeah, totally. They'll be here. We did that conversation on Friday. I go, NFTs, if you're talking NFTs and blockchain, yes, sure. I'm bullish on it.
Yeah.
A specific NFT or a specific application, not yet. I don't know. I can't answer that.
Well, it's too fluid right now.
Yeah.
And it's still so new.
Yes.
So it's one of those in which prime opportunities for somebody to come out of all this, whether it be current or somebody completely new that just blows it out of the water and becomes, the PSA of NFTs from a sports perspective, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, NFTs are not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think the way, and I'm going to add to kind of my explanation of this the following. When I look at NFTs and I look at blockchain, and I look at a lot of these concepts, and people are talking about the specifics. Think of commercial internet in 1998, 1999, and 2000. Does the internet? That's like asking, does the internet have a future? The answer was yes, but did Pets.com have a future? Not so much. But the internet, yes. The internet, yes. The dot-com bubble was because a lot of people came up with a lot of dumb ideas that didn't work. But the internet is still, we're on the internet right now. The internet is doing just fine.
Yep.
But we needed to get past the Pets.com and those ideas to get to the Amazon.com, the eBay.com, these other ones that are still around.
Yep.
And that's the timing, and that's the thing. Nope, no problem, Dominic. They're good questions, without a doubt. I don't mind. I'm happy when someone wants to throw something out to give us something to chew on.
Absolutely.
It makes for good discussion. But I think we're, I'll borrow the stupid inning analogy. When it comes to NFTs, we're the top of the first. It's still too soon to develop to determine the game and where we're at. And we're the top of the first. We're literally just getting started. But the specifics, like in time. Maybe Top Shot will be here in 5 years. I don't have the answer to that. I honestly don't know. Maybe it will, but I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? The only thing that's going to help them is they're actually NBA licensed. I mean,
Yes,
that's
true.
That's really kind of will give them potential staying power.
Yeah. And the
But
players
they-
do have a stake. The players do have
Oh, do they?
The players actually make some money if Top Shot is successful.
Oh,
So they are
well, see, I didn't know
incentivized.
that.
They are super incentivized. There are some players who are specifically promoting Top Shot. They're like, I get a cut of this, right? And they're like, yes, actually you do. I love Top Shot. Steve, have I told you about Top Shot? How awesome Top Shot is? If we're getting a cut, then yes. That's why they're like, please let us discuss Top Shot. Let us talk about this right now.
We got a repeat of a question from Friday. Go watch the Friday live stream. We talked about that question quite a bit.
Exactly. Yeah. I think he knows because he's got the LOL in there. I think he knows.
No, I was talking about the next one from Dominic.
Oh, from Dominic? But he's got the LOL at the end of the
Oh,
question.
sorry. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah. I was like, I suspect you know the answer to this question. I suspect you do.
There is no wrong answer in that one, really. It's
Not today. Not yet. I think all three guys have real potential. All three guys right now. Now,
all young.
anything can happen. Anything can happen, but all three have potential. Asking me today, I like all three. If you can get a couple of cards for each, I have cards of all three guys. Mostly Soto, but I do have a couple of Acuna, and I do have a couple of Tatis. I'm not redoing my mortgage for it, but I've got a handful of cards here and there. I will not be completely shut out if one of these guys goes to the moon. I'll put it that way.
I have none because I'm not a baseball guy. I've just been opening 2021 Series 1 because it's something to do. And it
Well,
gives
at least you can get some 2021 Series 1. Here's the thing. As plain as the design is, I'm not going to go into a retailer. I'm not getting in line. I'm not doing any of that nonsense. I've been so good. Just the thing about this office is that I can hang here all day. I've got my two monitors, and I can just be watching stuff, doing stuff, and whatever. The kitchen is just there behind me. I can grab whatever I need. The living room is down the hallway in the darkness. So I can just be chilling and doing my thing. I got lots of room. So I can be living my life. And I'm a homebody anyway. So for me,
Right.
It's like, look, I don't want to be standing in line, right? Especially in pandemic time. No, thank you. I'd rather not.
well, and I don't stand in line, so that's
Correct.
the nice thing.
Yeah.
I did make my daily trip, and I've been lucky the last. Actually, it's been like every other week.
Mhm.
So I scored my first. Damn, I've lost the terminology now.
Blaster box.
No, blaster box my wife got from Walmart
Okay.
prior to my birthday.
Mega box.
Hanger
Oh,
hanger box.
Okay.
The wall with the yellow Walgreens parallels.
Okay.
So the first one I scored was on my birthday that Sunday, and then I happened to grab another one like 2 weeks later. So I went today. There was nothing on the shelf. So maybe next Sunday I'll get lucky and I'll find something.
Yeah. I will say, like, and I referenced the video earlier where when I did that video like a year ago now, like it was in March,
Yeah.
so like a year ago now, and I was doing it in front of this and all that. I was opening a blaster really slowly,
Yes.
real slowly, but I got that blaster from Walmart.ca. I ordered it online and had it shipped. So I like at that time you could literally just go online,
Yep.
click, add to cart, and if you grab enough stuff, it's free shipping and have it shipped over. At my convenience, just have it shipped over. Those were the days you could go grab a couple of retail blasters just for fun and be like, all right, I'm going to open this and take 35 minutes to open one blaster.
Yeah, now you can go look online and see where it's stocked, but yet you can't add it to your cart. You got to go into the stupid store, and then probably by the time you get there, there's nothing there.
Well, listen, Steve, if I want last year's MVP, I can totally get it on Walmart.ca right now. Last year's MVP, I got this. Parkhurst 2019, yes. No.
Anybody worth a damn?
No.
That's why you can get it, Carlos.
Correct. That is exactly why I can get it. Yes, that is factually accurate. Yes. I was like, really? That's all you got? Oh my god. Well, that explains a lot. Yeah, and everything
Bobby,
else
you're
is-
on mute.
Yeah.
Oh, I do collect some other things. I collect, the vending machine header cards.
Okay.
Like,
Oh, okay. Interesting. Interesting.
That's cool.
Power Rangers, really? Okay. Interesting.
that's hedging my bets on that
I
one.
was gonna say you're really hedging your bets on that one. Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you 50 cents.
Exactly. Exactly.
Who's here?
Okay, so that's a Steve. That's you, Steve. Go for it.
Can you like
Hold on, hold on. I'll zoom it in. I'll zoom it in. Hang on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Quit moving it, Bobby.
Yeah, the names are on there, Bobby. It kind of defeats the point.
Well, no, I'm.
Pete Mandley, Bobby Humphrey.
That's
Ryan
nobody worth a
Sochia.
damn.
What? You don't like Nate O'Domes? Come on.
I mean, Bobby Humphrey was all right in his day. I mean, that's probably the only guy that's worth a damn on that whole thing.
Yeah, we'll get to your question in a second, Dominic. We're just having fun with Bobby's trinkets here. We'll get
There's
to
a
your questions.
football watch too, guys.
There is a watch. That's right. It is a football watch. That is true.
So was that actually from a?
A vending machine, yeah.
No kidding.
So you'd put your
Oops.
money in and
There we go.
whatever. This one's for Joe.
Nice. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. I got another one here. Okay, go ahead.
I got lots of them, but I'll just do these last ones.
All right.
These were
nice.
plush kind of.
Yeah. I definitely remember stuff like that for sure from the vending machines, no doubt.
You never
Oh,
got
that's fun,
these.
though.
You always got the little hamburger. There's a little hamburger for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's up here. Sorry.
Great.
Anyways,
At least you're staying on brand, Bobby. I do appreciate that. Okay, quickly, I'll touch on Dominic's question. So this is, you know what? This is a good question, not because specifically the LeBron angle, but it's a good general concept question. Because it's like, all right, LeBron has a high ankle sprain, so he's got a temporary injury. He's an interesting, because he's already an established brand, right? Like
Yep.
he's an all-timer, whatever you think he
Baseball, right.
falls. So he's got his temporary injury, high ankle sprain or baseline. And here's the thing. With LeBron, and this is just my general response for LeBron, if you think he'll be able to get to the all-time scoring crown, which he's got a good shot at because generally speaking, he's super durable and he's still performing at a high level and his team's still really good and all those things are still in place, then there's still room for his cards to move because he still has a chance to do more things. Maybe he wins another championship, maybe he doesn't. But like 4 is pretty good. 5 would be better, but 4 is pretty good. And he's got all the other accolades potentially, including all-time leading scorer and all that good stuff. Now, buying LeBron still means you're putting together some serious money.
Yes.
It doesn't matter which one. Like if you're buying a good LeBron card, it's going to cost you, regardless. So go ahead, Bobby. And remember, you're muted, just so we're clear.
Yeah,
That's-
price
that's-
tag
Jim
From the
Brown,
85.
Wayne Gretzky.
Nice. So
It's
can
an
we get the
early one.
Gretzky for? Can we get the Gretzky for the price at that time? Is it like $50?
Oh, good guess. Maybe we'll see.
That's just my guess. 1985. I'm going with $50.
25, I'm saying.
Okay, sure.
Jim Brown, I'll say
Oh, okay.
35, 40. Got to go even. They usually don't do half.
Oh,
dollars.
in 1985, Jim Brown, 15. I'm gonna go low. I think it took a while for Jim Brown to get appreciated. I feel like it took time.
Jim Brown. What number was he? They don't do all the numbers. They just did.
Well, he would have still been a key one.
For sure. Because I think the Jim Brown rookie was, what, 58 tops? I want to say 58.
That sounds right. I'm not a vintage guy.
I actually had that card at one point. I actually do regret selling that one.
That's a nice looking card.
I think it's a good card, and I had a decent copy. It was a low grade copy, but it was still pretty clean.
And
I
what
kinda
did you say?
regret having it. For Jim Brown, I went 15.
I said 40.
$31.
Wow.
31.
Okay.
Well, see, I said 35 originally, but I wouldn't think that they would go half dollars, you know.
Okay. Okay.
$1. Where does that even come in? Yeah. It
Sure.
says rookie in
It
brackets,
is.
MVP.
Oh, MVP as well. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew it was his rookie, but, you know, I was close.
You were
You
very
actually were
close.
pretty close. Yes.
So it's funny. This is just football and hockey.
Interesting.
Which is
No
interesting.
baseball, really?
No,
That's
it's just-
interesting.
It's not very big. I don't know who made this.
I was going to say football didn't really. But in 1985, I wouldn't have thought football would have been one of the two if you're just going to have two, and hockey probably would have been one of the two.
Yeah, hockey 1954 to 85 Topps and OPC. Football 1934 to 84 National Chico Bowman, Leaf Tops Fleer, and Philadelphia Chewing Gum. Obviously.
Okay.
So, Gretzky rookie. Here it is.
All right.
What did we say?
I said $50. I think.
I said 25. What do you say?
I
Steve?
didn't even throw anything
Hockey
out.
Oracle, you got to take a stab. A number between $1 and $1 trillion. Go for it.
50 cents. No, I'm kidding. So,
I'd pay 50 cents now. That's not going to count.
right.
I'm not going to
Just because of who he is, 70.
$15.
Ooh, that was close. That was my Jim Brown guess. Okay.
You got to reverse them.
Oh,
But isn't that amazing for 1985?
that is very interesting. Okay. Well, I guess not surprising though. Like in 1985, Gretzky was obviously doing some good things, but like it was still early days for Gretzky because the 80s, by the end of the 80s, he had like huge dominant numbers, and hockey hadn't really appreciated that much. So I guess that
We'll
makes
see, and
sense.
that was the other thing I was going to throw out there. Is it a possibility that, you know, during the date of publication, I don't want to say hockey was in its infancy because that's not the case. Hockey's been around for a long time, but as far as, you know, some people gravitating towards the sport from a collectible perspective.
Well, the thing is, hockey, even to this day, is regional. It's one of those things where sometimes I'll have some fun where people talk about it. They're like, why isn't hockey? It's like, because hockey is Canada and pockets of the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
and
do
that's
love
true.
hockey. People do love hockey. Like, if I go to Chicago, they love hockey. If I go to Detroit, probably, we're good. You know, Buffalo, they're angry at their team right now. They might be rebelling.
Rangers been around a long time.
Yeah, the
too.
Rangers for sure. Like original 6-team locations, probably. Boston has its pocket as well, for sure.
Yeah.
But like, it's still pockets. No one cares about hockey in Montana. You can't sell it. It's not gonna. It's a no go. You know, in Oregon, it's not. It's a no go. In Michigan, sure, the state of Michigan does like the collegiate hockey teams have some popularity and stuff. Like, there's a grassroots. Dallas became
Minnesota.
more so after the Stars became good, and it has its pocket. But it's like it's a aberration in the South. Like, it's not normal.
Yeah, I became a hockey supporter, so to speak. I don't want to call myself a fan.
Dare you say Oracle?
Well, I was
No, I don't
waiting
even
for
say
that.
that. No, I'm not even going to go that route. Either.
Yeah.
But when they came to town, there was an appreciation.
Sure. Yeah.
Whether they were good, bad, and different, it's like, oh, sweet, we're getting a hockey team. That's interesting. All 4 major sports. All right, cool.
Yeah. It also didn't hurt. Like, in all honesty, like, in all seriousness, it didn't hurt that you had a, like, 23-year-old offensively gifted player who came out of the blocks and scored 50 goals in the first season.
Would that guy be by the name of Medano?
Possibly. Allegedly. But the point is, like, out of the blocks first season, you get the young 20-something player scores 50 goals in the first inaugural year. You don't know if the team's going to be any good. And within 3 years, they're a contending team for the next decade.
Yeah.
Like, that helps. That's how you build a franchise. That's it. So we've got an exciting player, an offensively gifted, exciting player. And then within a couple of years, team's a contender for the next decade into the 2000s and beyond. It's like, that ain't happening.
Yeah, they won 5 cups that year in the 80s. Yeah.
The Oilers, yes. The Oilers. Yes.
You were close. You were closer with the your price to Gordie Howe's before than you were with the Gretzky.
Well, I didn't say a number for the 54. I don't know what that was.
No, you were closer with your guess of Gretzky's rookie with the 54. So the 54 tops is Gordie Howe is $57.
Bargain. Huge bargain.
They're sluggers.
Oh, sluggers, right? Yes.
They put out their own. Go ahead.
So that was an early price guide there because they made their own in the early days there. I know you collected a bunch of these price guides there.
August, September 1990.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm saying, like, sluggers had, like, even I think before that into the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
Yeah, sluggers only a couple years back. Yeah, you're right.
No, that's fine. But into the 80s, they had it.
I had a couple others here.
So there is a question.
There's a nice one.
Yep, I got it here. Hold on. So the question here, Bobby, being posed is, what was the Orr in Lemieux in 1985?
Oh,
the Orr.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
The Lemieux might not even be in here, so
What month was it in 85?
it doesn't really say. It only goes to 84.
Okay,
84,
so then Lemieux would be there for sure. It'd be in the sluggers one, but not the other one. So Orr.
Have a guess.
In 1985, $250.
No, I think it would be way too high. I haven't looked at it, but
75.
if Howe is that, and Orr,
but the Orr is the rookie though. The Orr is the rookie though.
Well, it's Howe's tops rookie.
Great. Wonderful.
But I think the standing back in '85, Howe and him, I would have to say it's probably $60.
I think it's reasonable. I took a stab in the dark. I'll stick with my guess.
I said 75.
I don't think your guess is unreasonable. So I took a stab in the dark.
Okay, $31
For the Orr, eh?
for the
Wow.
Well, remember how
Double
strong-
bargain.
Right.
Yeah.
Sign me up. I'll take 10 right now.
Yeah. I
And who
accept your
else?
terms, sir. I accept your terms.
Lemieux's not in there.
Yeah.
Bobby Hull is 20. Is 35. His rookie,
More than the
Bobby Hull.
wow.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, it just tells you the perception back then of the older players were a little more respected.
Okay. It's fair. So Paul just says, whatever happened to Canadian sports card collectors? I guess you mean like Canadian Sports Card Magazine? Because there was, here we go. The magazine.
Oh, the CSC.
Yeah. I liked that magazine back in the day.
It was really good.
It has moments, yeah.
Yeah. Richard Scott took over. It was kind of had some better moments. Gretzky was on the cover every other issue because he was a 79 guy. But then they had some other changes and didn't really do well.
Yeah. So I'll touch on this comment here, Mr. Dewey. So I'm back to my original statement though. Hockey fans is not the same as people who will buy hockey cards. You can be a fan of the sport and not necessarily collect the cards. So I totally get your point. 100% get it. Just because I like the sport doesn't mean I collect the cards. I like football. I don't buy a ton of football cards. I do have football cards, but I don't spend a lot of time buying football cards. But I watch more football at this stage. That's the reason I like to make fun of certain quarterbacks that will be named nameless. Because I watch the sport. I'm actually watching the games. And because I'm watching the games consistently and all the time, it's easier for me to speak on what I'm seeing because I'm watching it constantly. NHL, I will not even debate you on McDavid or anybody current. I don't know. I don't watch enough. I am ignorant. I acknowledge it. You want to ask me about 1998 NHL? I got you.
Yeah,
I
of
watched
course.
tons of that, but I can't help you with the current game. No idea.
So this is the earliest price guide ever issued in hockey. It was
Okay.
1976.
Okay, nice.
And that's Robert Wimmer.
Okay.
He's still around today. And this is the first official hockey
So what year
price
was that
guide.
again?
1976.
So in that guide, do they label rookies?
No.
Ah.
So as you see, 72 three tops. There's no designation. By
That's kind of
nothing.
what I was wondering. Yeah.
Nothing
So
beside
the
it.
reason I asked that question is because I had posed the question to Bobby previously, where I said I'd be curious to see what at what point it became consistent that you started labeling the rookies in various guides and things. It'd be still fairly early on, but I'd be curious, like at what point they started really doing it.
So this is a checklist. There's no prices.
Oh, it's just a checklist. Okay, fair enough.
Checklist guide.
Got it. Okay, fair enough.
Well, that's pretty early to be a price guide for hockey, I would say.
That's fair. I get you. So Hockey Guy has Jacques Plante. Got anything for Jacques Plante in the 85?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, you just mentioned Jamie Benn came from the WHL. Very true.
I have
That's accurate.
every hockey collector price guide issued. I pretty much think I have them all. I got various ones. Plante rookie. Wonder what year they're going to put Plante rookie at.
Okay. This is a good question for Hockey Guy. Who's the best player in 98? I know who I was thinking if I put myself back in that time. And I laugh because sometimes I've had people ask me offline this question, like thinking I'll like Homer and go Modano. It's like, no, Modano was a great top end player, but I've never pitched him as the best at any stage. But he was definitely a top end player. 98. I would probably pick. I feel like Yzerman was a little too old for being in that category for me. I feel like I like Forsberg, especially in that late 90s period. I like Forsberg. Now, if you're saying who's the best scorer or whatever, that's different.
I was getting ready to ask the question because it's like,
I'm
you
just
look at
talking about
most points?
I'm just talking about players that I feel like could dominate the game at that time. And there were a number. It wasn't just one. It wasn't one or two. But I feel like Forsberg was a top tier player at that era. For sure.
I'm going to throw these out here for you, Carlos. So most goals was Solani.
In 98?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then most points was Yager.
Well, Yager's a good bet, especially in the 90s. Now, 98 though is interesting. 98 is interesting. It's actually an excellent question. I love the question. So I'll find the answer to the year in question because that's one of my favorite years. So I love the question for multiple reasons. All right, so goal leader was Solani with 47. Points leader is Yager with 127, so that's a good bet for the points. Assist leader was Yager as well. I'm just taking a look here and see if I can find the overall leaders, if I can get that. So let me take a look at points, guys, here. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so Yager, Solani after that, because he was right at the top there. Korea would have been a top-end player. Fourth in scoring was Forsberg, so I had him right there in the top 5. That makes total sense to me. Sakic as well, no doubt. Alexei Yashin had 94 points that year for Ottawa. Nice. Not bad. Okay.
Wow.
I wouldn't have thought of Yashin immediately, but yeah, no, that makes sense. Theo Fleury after that. Lindros. John LeClaire, because Philadelphia had great players there on that line.
Mm-hmm.
And Pavel Demitra, who's sometimes forgotten about. He was a great player if you were in hockey pools. Pavel Demitra was very solid for a while there. Some good ones. So there's your top 10 in 1998-99.
And this price guide does not have Parkhurst.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Only Tops and a Peachy.
And Medina was, and in case anybody was curious, Medina was 13th in scoring. So just outside of the top 10. But he was always kind of hovered around that top 10 range.
But Sluggers here,
Okay.
you should see the difference between 85 and
1990?
in 1990. And Sluggers was a business. They sold cards and they dealt in sports memorabilia and what have you. There was 3 locations, I think, 2 or 3.
Yep.
It says right here, Steels and Young. That's the one I remember, but I thought they had another one. Any which way. So you got a Plante rookie in here in 1990. Any guesses?
Sorry, for the Plante?
Yeah. This is Sports Card Boom.
This is 1990, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, but
Well, we're
Because the
looking
plot-
at
because the plot
August,
was what?
September.
the plot was what? I want to say 57?
Yeah.
Or was it
I'm
55?
it's 55, 56. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a PRC, there's all this crap.
But
you know.
1990, but it's still
Yeah, it's a tough call.
80.
Wow.
I'll go 100 even. I'll go 100 even.
$250.
Oh wow. Okay.
That was
Wow.
Pretty good.
So if we look at
But that means the ore's got to be strong then, because if the plant's up there, then the ore has got to have been adjusted accordingly.
it'll be huge.
That's huge. Yeah,
Would
yeah,
have to be.
yeah. Yeah.
So
I'll quickly
well,
touch on. I'll quickly touch on a couple of comments there,
Oh.
Bobby. Just give me 2 seconds.
yeah.
Yeah. So Burry had 51 goals in 97, 98. Totally, Paul. But we're talking 98, 99. But you're bang on. Totally. Seem to recall. Yep, I did collect Hossa. Favorite Hossa card. I'll be honest with you. My favorite Hossa card, just because I thought it was fun. I want to say it was 98, 99, 99 2000. Steve's doing construction. We'll be fine.
sorry.
Sound
Yeah,
like
no
Justin.
worries. I got you. So I want to say maybe 99, 2000. It was like Stadium Club. And by the way, this wouldn't be a card that anybody else would pick. Design wise, his rookie from Donruss Preferred was awesome. I love the foil and all that. But the card that was like my personal favorite, just because I thought it was fun, was like 99, 2000. I want to say Stadium Club, maybe 98, 9, but I think it's 99, 2000. It was a jersey card that he had. And I actually had the jersey card, and I think I still have it. I have like 3 different color swatches. I went out of my way to find the white one, the red one, and the black one. Just because I thought it'd be kind of fun to have it. And it's a cheap card. It's not expensive at all. But the preferred rookie card is really sweet. I thought so. So go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, this is very interesting because they grade from VG and E to VGEX, I guess, and then there's M,
Okay.
which is mint, obviously. So we have Gordie Howe, his 51 Parkers, because Parkers is in here.
Mhm.
It's I won't go through the guessing game. It's $1,500 back then for a mint.
Nice.
Bobby Orr,
Yep.
same 1,500.
Okay.
So they've equaled out in 5 years.
Yeah. But that's definitely some serious appreciation in a 5-year span there.
So
This
what
is
was
pretty
what's
good.
the Gretzky though? 5 years later.
Exactly. Any guesses?
Okay, I'll guess in 2 seconds, but let me grab Vinny's
Sure.
comment because it's important. Vinny says, blasphemy Paul. Vinny, you got to understand. The goat of goats is not measured by normal statistics. They tried to downplay. What the problem is that the stats I see on here, it says 50 points, but I know for a fact it was like 500 points that year. But like the goat of goats, why would I do that? Why would I? It's unfair. I'm not even counting the Paul Fee stats. Like we can't do that. Not to everybody else. It's not fair. We're not doing that. Ziggy Paul Fee is like the anti-goat. He's the actual goat, the undisputed goat. As a professional hater, I bow down.
Professional hater.
Bow down. Like, there's nobody else. We're not even touching that. So go ahead, Bobby.
So that's very interesting about the Wayne Gretzky.
For the Gretzky. So GMS says
500
600.
bucks.
GMS says 600 is his guess for the Gretzky. If this is 1990, right?
Yes.
I'm going to go 500.
That's what I said.
Sorry. But I agree with the Hockey Oracle.
But it does have in brackets rookie card.
Okay, so it does have rookie card. It's a little blurry, but I believe you. What does it
Anyways.
say, though? I can't see the number.
$800.
Oh, it was 800 by that point already.
Isn't it?
Nice.
Yeah. So how long did it stay in Beckett for $800?
It was like $900 for a long time.
How many decades?
It was a long time.
Exactly.
Long
They
time.
just changed it recently. 6 months ago.
Okay.
It was
That's good.
$800.
Yeah, so here we go. Jeff found it. It was 99 2000 Top Stadium Club souvenir. Yeah, I just like the card. For some reason, the aesthetic of it worked for me. It worked out really well. Okay, so real quick, guys. It is 11:55 p.m. I said I was going to hold the line. So I don't know why. The streaming gods are so kind to me. I don't know why they're so kind. Well, humor me for one moment, gentlemen. Humor me for one moment.
Your conference call got pushed.
No. They're kind to me. You'll see why in a second. Humor me for a second, if you could. Hey, Justin, how's it going?
No,
Why would you do this to yourself? I'm literally going to go offline. I'm literally going to turn this thing off. I was like, that's why I said, it's like, why are the streaming gods so good to me? You gave me everything I could have asked for.
And on that note,
Historical.
Thank you all for hanging out. I am going to shut. I'm serious. I am going to shut down the broadcast. I do have an early start on Monday, so I was serious. I was serious. I meant it when I said it. Justin, thank you for entertaining me. answering a prayer I didn't even make, but I guess it happened. All right. So thank you, Jeff. I'm glad you enjoyed it too. All right. So folks, thank you to Bobby for hanging out. Much appreciated. That look down memory lane was awesome. It was actually really fun. It was really fun to play the guest. Down the road, Bobby, let's do that again with a couple of those guys, because it is kind of fun to kind of guess the prices of some of like the big cards. That's pretty sweet. It's actually kind of fun to do. It's a little fun game. So that's kind of fun to do.
I think so.
Yep. And thanks, Steve, for popping on. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
absolutely. Thanks for having me as always.
Yep. We kept it nice and tidy. Just a shade over 3 hours. We'll call it good here. And Hockey Guys gets the last word. Got him. Indeed. Indeed. All right, folks. So it is not quite Monday, but it'll be in a couple of minutes in the East Coast. Or those of you in the West, a couple hours from now. Don't worry about it. So have a good Monday. Have a good week. I think we'll be back on Friday. I kind of like doing the Friday stream, but it will be shorter. I think it's going to be a shorter Friday stream and a shorter Sunday stream.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah, that's my short-term plan. I still want to do it, but we're not going to do the big epic streams right now until the scheduling thing gets figured out. To be honest, it'd be nice if we could all sleep a little bit. So you know what? For our collective good, for folks that want to hang out on Friday, we can do that. For folks that want to hang out on Sunday, we can do that. Let's make them a little shorter. But between the two, we're still getting our time.
Yep.
So bring some topics, bring some ideas, and then we'll definitely have some stuff to chat about between now and Friday. Have yourselves a good week. Take it easy, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Hi, guys.